Musing is awesome. You know what else is awesome is anything with the Lord of the Rings, especially the book. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Today is the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Yes, it is, my precious. Finally, I know we've all been waiting for this after the Battle of Helm's Deep. We have the Battle of, this battle. I tell you what, it is something else. I was rereading, right? So I just went to the chapters that I'm going to be reading tonight on today or reviewing on the show. So minding my own business, reading it. Sorry, I'm having some trouble with my micro. I need to get less cheap stuff. That's it. I need to, let's all help me get a better microphone set up and stand and all that. Let's see. Is that good? I think that's good. Now, when I was reading it, okay, minding my own business. Hey, I'm just going to sit here and read the 3 chapters. 4 hours later, I've practically reread the entire book. And I was like, this book is so good. Well, all of it is so good, but I couldn't stop. It was absurd. Absolutely absurd. But I am not ashamed. I am not ashamed. But man, is this good. Unparalleled. I mean, there's a reason why every fantasy author that you know, let me know if you can find one, doesn't think that this is just the pinnacle of everything and that it is unmatched and that anything that they have, they owe to Tolkien. Read Author of the Century. Maybe I will be reviewing that one with y'all, Tom Shippey. Everyone needs to be reading the scholarship on Tolkien's work as well as his work. Now, the Catholic stuff with Tolkien, I have moved over to my Catholic channel. So if you're into that, please go there. A lot of really good Catholic quotes about him, what it means to be a Catholic and what it means to be him being a Catholic. His works may be associated with that, though sometimes I let that cross over here. So good stuff. We love Tolkien here at Miss Martin Muses. He is unparalleled. And for all of you watching and that will be watching on the replay, I give you a very, very hearty hello. Hello to you all. You know what? I'm gonna get a goal here. I usually don't get this. But I maybe need to get a good microphone set up and everything, like something that's permanent. So let's do this. Let's put a goal. Everyone gets a rose. And of course, Tolkien would also understand what it means to, let's see. I'll say 5. Oh no, I'll just say 1. I'm not going to be that kind of a jerk. Well, it's not a jerk to do it, but I want to make it reasonable. And I do appreciate all of my members. But I mean, what Tolkien has to say just about everything is amazing. I was going through some of his interviews, like trying to find some more God quotes, and my gosh, that man knows his stuff. And one of these days I'm going to go to his grave, and I'm not going to be an idiot like some people who borderline desecrate it with putting like Lord of the Rings kind of related stuff. I mean, I understand why people want to do that, but there's only one thing that Tolkien would want at his gravesite, and that would be your prayers. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Battle of the Pelennor Fields and how I couldn't stop. I could not stop. It was absurd. It was ridiculous. The only thing that stopped me was I was set to be at Mass that day. And I was like, I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell is this? Yeah, I'm just going to have to reread the entire Lord of the Rings. I just am. I'm sorry. I've got to reread it. No two ways about it. I thought I could get away with just reading excerpts, but nope. I mean, all the stuff with Pippin and Merry and, of course, Theoden. Holy crap, was it amazing. So where we're going to start this review and read is... Okay, as I'm flipping through, I see my man Faramir. When he's like, you wish our places had been reversed. Oh, I just can't, my man. Okay, so where we're going to start is after Denethor is kind of losing it. He hasn't quite said, let's have a bonfire, a father-son bonfire. But he will not fight. He will not leave his brother's side. And then Barragond, he is a dude who's going to play a big role in saving Faramir. And I guess I understand why they cut him. But man, oh man, is he excellent. So we're going to start when the assault is going on. So we're in the middle of the siege of Gondor. And I want to double check one pronunciation. How do you pronounce? If I mess up any pronunciation, though, I know that you all will assist me. All right, here we go. Barragond. The emphasis on the second one, Barragond. Sorry about that, kids. And if Google's wrong, well, it's wrong. So ever since the middle of the night, the great assault had gone on. Yeah, the bad guys are assaulting Minas Tirith. The drums rolled to the north and to the south. Company upon company of the enemy pressed to the walls. There came great beasts like moving houses in the red and fitful light. Yeah. Gosh, already I just feel like I'm here. I'm present. He just paints pictures with words. The word I can't pronounce is the Harad, dragging through the lanes amid the fires, huge towers and engines. And this is a man who definitely, crying out loud, he definitely knows his military stuff. It's been said, over and over and over again, in not a bad way, that he knows his stuff from being in war, and then his son was in World War II. Yet their captain cared not greatly for what they did or how they might be slain. Yeah, didn't care about their people. Their purpose was only to test the strength of the defense and to keep the men of Gondor busy in many places. So there is a strategy to the bad guys' attack. It was against the gate that he would throw the heaviest weight. Well, that makes sense. Very strong it might be, wrought of steel and iron, and guarded with towers and bastions of indomitable stone. Why can't I talk? Yet it was the key, the weakest point in all that high and impenetrable wall. Oh boy. And of course, whenever you do an assault, you do it on the weakest point, not the strongest point. Otherwise, I guess you're Robert E. Lee at Pickett's Charge. The drums rolled louder. Fires leaped up. Great engines crawled across the field. And in the midst, a huge ram, great as a forest tree, 100 feet in length, swinging on mighty chains. Long had it been forging in the dark smithies of Mordor, and its hideous head, founded of black steel, was shaped in the likeness of a ravening wolf. On it spells of ruin lay. Grond they named it, in memory of the hammer of the underworld of old. Great beasts drew it, orcs surrounded it, and behind walked mountain trolls to wield it. Yeah, it is works of the demons, the underworld. That's the kind of stuff they did pretty cool in the movie. But about the gate, resistance still was stout. Yay, stand strong, men of Gondor. And there the knights of Del Imroth and the hardiest of the garrison stood at bay. Yeah, we just had generic Gondor people in the movie, but yeah, these people are something. You see this? Can you understand why I had to go back and just reread the whole stupid thing? It's not stupid, of course. It's amazing. Shot and dart fell thick. Siege towers crashed or blazed suddenly like torches. I'm just feeling like I'm running away. See, this is where if had been, I would not have been Eowyn or Eowyn. Yeah, all their names sound the same in this, but yeah, Eowyn. When she's like, "I want to go," and I'm like, "No, you don't, sister. No, you do not." And we see that in the houses of healing. All before the walls, on either side of the gate, the ground was choked with wreck and with bodies of the slain. Yet still driven as by a madness, more and more came up and crawled on. Upon its housing no fire would catch, and though now and again some great beast that hauled it would go mad and spread its stamping ruin among the orcs innumerable that guarded it, their bodies were cast aside from its path, and others took their place. Yeah. If you know anything about World War I and trench warfare, well, this all sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it, kids? Oh. And Grond crawled on. It's a repeating mantra, I guess. It's great. The drums rolled wildly. Over the hills of slain, a hideous shape appeared. A horseman, tall, hooded, cloaked in black. Slowly, trampling the fallen, he rode forth, heeding no longer any dart. He halted and held up a long, pale sword, and as he did so, a great fear fell on all, defender and foe alike. And the hands of men drooped to their sides no bow sang. For a moment, all was still. Yeah. We know who this is. Oh, it ain't going to be good. The drums rolled and rattled. Especially when he talks of drums, I hear it. I see the trenches in the World War I battle. With a vast rush, Grond was hurled forward by huge hands. It reached the gate. It swung. A deep boom rumbled through the city like thunder running in the clouds. Oh, yeah. And understand that these things that they have, we saw this in Helm's Deep, like the gunpowder. It was huge. It changed everything. And the people in Gondor didn't have anything to compare. But then again, they didn't have to because they weren't ramming, but still. But the doors of iron and posts of steel withstood the stroke. Then the black captain rose in his stirrups and cried aloud in a dreadful voice, speaking in some forgotten tongue, words of power and terror to rend both heart and stone. Yeah, this black speech that they have. Forgotten tongue of words of power. And maybe it wasn't the black speech, but dang. Thrice he cried. Thrice the grape ram boomed, and suddenly upon the last stroke, the gate of Gondor broke. As if stricken by some blasting spell, it burst asunder. There was a flash of searing lightning, and the door tumbled in riven fragments to the ground. Hello, everyone that is coming in. Make yourself known. Give me a wave and maybe a like, share, and a subscribe. It's always good to see you. I am nothing without the chat. And my members and everyone that supports this channel, I do appreciate it. Here we go. In rode the Lord of the Nazgul. A great black shape against the fires beyond, he loomed up, grown to a vast menace of despair. In rode the Lord of the Nazgul under the archway that no enemy ever yet had passed, and all fled before his face. And as I said before, I would too. Well, I would be the one where when they're all women and children need to leave, I'd be like, bring me to the front of the line, kids. I'm out of here. I know this is controversial, but women are healers. I'm going to say this with Eowyn. All save one. Oh my gosh. All fled before the face, but all save one. I wonder who it is. I wonder who it is. Well, you know who it is. It's Gorilla's random thoughts. Only swinging by in case power is flickering from the blizzard. Because apparently we can't bury our powerless like we do everything else. Yeah, my goodness. Well, I hope all is well. Well, thank you. I'm happy to see you here, and thank you for your support and for making yourself known. Oh, all save one. Who is that one? Well, I'm glad you asked. There waiting, silent and still in the space before the gate, sat Gandalf upon Shadowfax. Yes. Shadowfax, who alone among the free horses of the earth endured the terror, unmoving, steadfast as a graven image in Roth Dinan. And I hope I said that right. Oh my gosh. Shadowfax is like the coolest horse ever. He's not afraid of the bad guys. I was going to look this up because when I look here at these pronunciations, especially when he uses the fada, I do it with the Irish. Well, I know it as the fada, but probably there's a different word here. All right. Roth Dinan. Oh, I am right. It is like the fada. And what does Gandalf say? You cannot enter here, said Gandalf. And the huge shadow halted. You see, they halt before the light. Go back to the abyss prepared for you. Go back. Fall into the nothingness that awaits you and your master. Go. I think in this book, I see almost more of the applicability, let's put it to you that way, of this language to something that I hold dear. The Black Rider flung back his hood, and behold, he had a kingly crown, and yet upon no head visible was it set. The red fire shone between it and the mantled shoulders vast and dark. From a mouth unseen, there came a deadly laughter. Old fool, he said, old fool, this is my hour. Do you not know death when you see it? Die now and curse in vain. And with that, he lifted high his sword and flames ran down the blade. Oof. He's evil, but it's also kind of cool. Cool in an evil kind of way. Gandalf did not move because Gandalf is awesome. And in that very moment, away behind in some courtyard of the city, a cock crowed. Shrill and clear he crowed, recking nothing of wizardry or war, welcoming only the morning that in the sky far above the shadows of death was coming with the dawn. And as if in answer, there came from far away another note. Horns, horns, horns. In dark Mindolluin sides they dimly echoed. Great horns of the north wildly blowing. Rohan had come at last. Mic drop. Gosh, if I were ever one day to be on camera, you'd see I just yanked off my glasses. I was so excited. You know who's awesome? Biggles Metz is awesome. He is a muser of House Rose and has gifted gifted memberships to House Rose. So thank you very, very much. It is good to see you. Rohan has come at last. Yes, it has. Oh, hear the way he describes it. You know what? I'm gonna share this out again. Yeah, please. I realize it is a Sunday morning. It's Laetare Sunday, which is Mother's Day for a lot of Europe, and I don't know, is it in Canada and stuff? It's a tradition that Laetare Sunday is that, and we all like Laetare Sunday here at Miss Martin Muses because, kind of party a little bit halfway through Lent. And it's also the Ides of March. It's bad news for the Witch King. The Ides of March is, and so is it, well, just don't break any mirrors today. But Rohan has come, and that is the most important thing. Horns, 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 great horns of the north, blowing, wildly blowing. Rohan had come at last. Now, we're going to skip to the point of view of Theoden and our men. Gosh darn it. I can't stand it. Cannot stand it. Here we go. Theoden. He turned to the men of his household who were near, and he spoke now in a clear voice, so that many also of the riders of the first hour had heard him. Now is the hour come, riders of the mark, sons of Earl. Foes and fire are before you, and your homes far behind. Yet though you fight upon an alien field, the glory that you reap there shall be your own forever. Oaths you have taken, now fulfill them all, to lord and land and league of friendship. Men clashed, spear upon shield. Aemir, my son, you lead the first Ared, and it shall go behind the king's banner in the center. Elfhelm, lead your company to the right when we pass the wall, and Grimwald shall lead his toward the left. Strategy here. Let the other companies behind follow these three that lead as they have chance. Strike wherever the enemy gathers. Other plans we cannot make, for we know not yet how things stand upon the field. Forth now, and fear no darkness. I would ride with you to hell and back, Theoden. I will. And meanwhile, right before he says he does this, even though Durnhelm is with Elfhelm's group, it says Durnhelm had left his place and in the darkness was moving steadily forward until at last he was riding just in rear of the king's guard. So Eowyn's going to the middle with the king. And I guess it was okay, because technically she wasn't supposed to be with Elfhelm either. The leading company rode off as swiftly as they could, for it was still deep dark. Merry was riding behind Durnhelm, clutching with the left hand, while the other he tried to loosen his sword in its sheath. He felt now bitterly the truth of the old king's words. In such a battle, what would you do? Just this, he thought, encumber a rider and hope at best to stay in my seat and not be pounded to death by galloping hoofs. Oh, Mary. It was no more than a league to where the outwalls had stood. They soon reached them. Too soon for Mary. Wild cries broke out, and there was some clash of arms, but it was brief. The orcs busy about the walls were few and amazed, and they were quickly slain or driven off. Yeah, here's some technical things that really make sense, that they would have these little small skirmishes during this. And I can see why in the book, rather than the movie, that might break up some of the momentum, but that's okay. But I think it is pretty cool that, we kind of see the way that they're all divided up and ready to go. Before the ruin of the north gate, the king halted again. The first Ared drew up behind him and about him on either side. Durnhelm kept close to the king, though Elfhelm's company was away on the right. Oh, I just kind of pointed that out. Grimhold's men turned aside and passed round to a great gap in the wall further eastward. All right, so they're getting ready. Boys, we're getting ready. Mary peered from behind Durnhelm's back. Far away, maybe 10 miles or more, there was a great burning between it and the riders, lines of fire blazed in a vast crescent at the nearest point less than a league distant. He could make out little more than the dark plain, and as yet he neither saw any hope of morning nor felt any wind, changed or unchanged. Now, silently, the host of Rohan moved forward onto the field of Gondor, pouring in slowly but steadily like the rising tide through breaches in a dike that men have thought secure. But the mind and will of the black captain were bent wholly on the falling city, and as yet no tidings came to him warning that his designs held any flaw. How cool is that? After a while, the king led his men away somewhat eastward to come between the fires of the siege and the outer fields. Still, they were unchallenged, and still Theoden gave no signal. At last he halted once again. The city was now nearer. The smell of burning was in the air, and a very shadow of death. This is a man writing about what he knows. The horses were uneasy, but the king sat upon Snowmane, motionless, gazing upon the agony of Minas Tirith, as if stricken suddenly by anguish or by dread. He seemed to shrink down, cowed by age. Merry himself felt as if a great weight of horror and doubt had settled on him. His heart beat slowly. Time ceased, poised in uncertainty. They were too late. Too late was worse than never. Perhaps Theoden would quail, bow his old head, turn, slink away to hide in the hills. Then suddenly, Merry felt it at last, beyond doubt, a change. Wind was in his face. Light was glimmering. Far, far away the south, the clouds could be dimly seen as remote gray shapes rolling up, drifting. Morning lay beyond them. Morning is here. But at that same moment, there was a flash, as if lightning had sprung from the earth beneath the city. For a searing second, it stood dazzling far off in black and white, its topmost tower like a glittering needle. And then, as the darkness closed again, there came rolling over the fields a great boom. This is what they are facing. This is what they are facing. Shit. At that sound, the bent shape of the king sprang suddenly erect. Tall and proud, he seemed again. Dang it, stupid book. Tall and proud, he seemed again. And rising in his stirrups, he cried in a loud voice, more clear than any there he had ever heard a mortal man achieve before. Arise, arise, riders of Theoden, fell deeds awake, fire and slaughter, spear shall be shaken, shield be splintered, a sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride now, ride to Gondor. Stupid book. With that, he seized a great horn from, I don't know how to pronounce his name, his banner bearer, and he blew such a blast upon it that it burst asunder. And straightway, all the horns in the host were lifted up in music, and the blowing of the horns of Rohan in that hour was like a storm upon the plain and a thunder in the mountains. Ride now, ride now, ride to Gondor. Suddenly the king cried to Snowmane, and the horse sprang away. Behind him his banner blew in the wind, white horse upon a field of green, but he outpaced it. after him thundered the knights of his house, but he was ever before them. Eomer rode there, the white horsetail on his helm floating at his speed, and the front of the first Aerid roared like a breaker foaming to the shore. But Theoden could not be overtaken. Fey he seemed, or the battle fury of his fathers ran like new fire in his veins, and he was borne up on snow mane like a god of old. Like a stupid god of old. Stupid book. Like a god of old. Okay, I'm allowed to do this because I'm a girl. Like a god of old. Even as Eomer the Great, or however you say his name, in the Battle of the Valar, when the world was young, his golden shield was uncovered, and lo, it shone like an image of the sun, and the grass flamed into green about the white feet of his steed. For morning came, morning, and a wind from the sea, and darkness was removed, and the hosts of Mordor wailed, and terror took them, and they fled and died, and the hooves of wrath rode over them. Then all the host of Rohan burst into song, and they sang as they slew, for the joy of battle was on them, and the sound of their singing was fair. The sound of their singing that was fair and terrible came even to the city. Okay, we're going to take a wipe my glasses break. Stupid book. It's not stupid, by the way. All right, the greatest speech in the movie. Oh, easily. I mean, I was bawling in the movie. That was mainly the only time I cried. Well, of course, everyone cried at the end when Frodo goes off and they're all saying goodbye, but for crying out loud. The Rohan, it was so beautiful and terrible. I get why they didn't have them singing as they slew, because that might seem kind of weird. It may not have translated. And here we are now, chapter 6, the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Okay, we're going to take a brief mute and nose blow break. Okay, here we go. But it was no orc chieftain or brigand that led the assault upon Gondor. The darkness was breaking too soon. Before the date that his master had set for it, fortune had betrayed him for the moment, and the world had turned against him. Victory was slipping from his grasp even as he stretched out his hand to seize it. But his arm was long. He was still in command, wielding great powers. King, Ringwraith, Lord of the Nazgul, he had many weapons. He left the gate and vanished. And when we see master, it is capitalized, very similar to, how we might, the references definitely to someone below, not above. All right, here we go. Theoden, king of the Mark, had reached the road from the gate to the river, and he turned toward the city that was now less than a mile distant. He slackened his speed a little, seeking new foes, and his knights came about him, and Durnhelm was with him. Ahead near the walls, Elfhelm's men were among the siege engines, hewing, slaying, driving their foes into the fire pits. Okay, how badass is that? Well nigh all the northern half of the Pelennor was overrun, and their camps were blazing. Orcs were flying toward the river like herds before the hunters, and the Rohirrim went hither and thither at their will. But they had not yet overthrown the siege, nor won the gate. Many foes stood before it. Yeah, these foes of darkness. Whew. Many foes stood before it. Hello, everyone coming in. Great to see you. Let me see. I want to double check. Take a break here. I gotta let my voice is not going to recover from this. All right. Southward beyond the road lay the main force of the Haradrim, and their horsemen were gathered about the standard of their chieftain. Yeah, and he looked out, and in the growing light he saw the banner of the king, and that it was far ahead of the battle, with few men about it. My king, I mean, I would follow that man. I mean, talk about my captain, my king, or whatever that line that they had from the movie. Um, but yeah, different king. Okay, Horadrim. I'm making sure I'm saying, or Horadrim. Horadrim, I guess. Yeah. Gosh, too much Latin and Irish with fadas in my life. Let's continue. Yeah, the bad guy. He's sitting there. Let's see. He was filled with a red wrath and shouted again, displaying his standard, the bad guy, his black serpent upon scarlet. He came against the white horse in the green with great press of men, and the drawing of the scimitars of the Southrons was like a glitter of stars. Then Theoden was aware of him and would not wait for his onset, but crying to Snowmane, he charged headlong to greet him. Great was the clash of their meeting, but the white fury of the Northmen burned the hotter, and more skilled was their knighthood with long spears and bitter. Fewer were they, but they clove through the Southrons like a fire bolt in a forest. Right through the press drove Theoden Thangol's son, and his spear was shivered as he threw down their chieftain. Hell yes! Out swept his sword, and he spurred to the standard, hewed staff and bearer. Oh my gosh, man. And the black serpent foundered. Then all that was left unslain of their cavalry turned and fled far away. Yeah, don't mess with the Northmen. But lo, suddenly, in the midst of the glory of the king, his golden shield was dimmed. The new morning was blotted from the sky. Dark fell about him. Horses reared and screamed. Every time I hear about horses rearing and screaming again, I'm thinking World War I. Men cast from their saddle lay groveling on the ground. To me, cried Theoden. Up, Erlingas, fear no darkness. But Snowmane, wild with terror, stood up on high, fighting with the air. And then, with a great scream, he crashed upon his side. A black dart had pierced him. Poor horsey. The king fell beneath him. Yeah, that's like the killing blow of his. The horse falling on him. The great shadow descended like a falling cloud, and behold, it was a winged creature, if bird, then greater than all other birds, and it was naked, and neither quill nor feather did it bear, and its vast pinions were as webs of hide between horned fingers, and it stank. Straight from the pits of hell. A creature of an older world, maybe it was, whose kind, lingering in forgotten mountains cold beneath the moon, outstayed their day. And in hideous eerie bred the last untimely brood, apt to evil. And the Dark Lord took it, and nursed it with fell meats. Oh, we know what that is. Until it grew beyond the measure of all other things that fly, and gave it to his servant to be his steed. Wow. Down it came, and then, folding its fingered webs, it gave a croaking cry, and settled upon the body of Snowmane, digging in its claws, stooping its long naked neck. I'm like, you get the away from Snowmane. But that, probably hurt Theoden all the more. Upon it sat a shape, black-mantled, huge and threatening. A crown of steel he bore, but between rim and robe, naught was there to see, save only a deadly gleam of eyes. The Lord of the Nazgul. We all know what's about to happen. To the air he had returned, summoning his steed ere the darkness failed, and now he was come again, bringing ruin, turning hope to despair, and victory to death. A great black mace he wielded. But Theoden was not utterly forsaken. The knights of his house lay slain about him, or else mastered by the madness of their steeds were borne far away. Yet one stood there still. Hell yes. Hell yes. Durnhelm, the young, faithful beyond fear, and he wept, for he had loved his lord as a father. Right through the charge, Mary had been borne unharmed behind him until the shadow came, and then Windfulla, the horsey, had thrown them in his terror, and now ran wild upon the plain. Mary crawled on all fours like a dazed beast, and such a horror was on him that he was blind and sick. Just to be in the presence of that kind of evil, that's what it did to you. Kingsman, Kingsman, his heart cried within him. You must stay by him. As a father you shall be to me, you said. But his will made no answer, and his body shook. He dared not open his eyes or look up. Then out of the blackness in his mind, he thought that he heard Durnhelm speaking. Yet now the voice seemed strange, recalling some other voice that he had known. Be gone, foul Drimmerlake, lord of Carrion. Leave the dead in peace. The cold voice answered. Come not between the Nazgul and his prey, or he will not slay thee in thy turn. He will bear thee away to the houses of lamentation beyond all darkness, where thy flesh shall be devoured, and thy shriveled mind be left naked to the lidless eye. That's a bigger threat than dying. Someone's not intimidated, though. A sword rang as it was drawn. Do what you will, but I will hinder it, if I may. Hinder me, thou fool. No living man may hinder me. Then Mary heard of all sounds in that hour the strangest. It seemed that Durnhelm laughed. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes. Hell yes. And the clear voice was like the ring of steel. But no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Eowyn I am, Eowyn's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Be gone if you be not deathless. For living or dark undead, I will smite you if you touch him. And this is the only person, this little woman, that's standing up to him. But it's her will and her awesomeness and everything about her. I will smite you if you touch him. The winged creature screamed at her, but the ring wraith made no answer and was silent, as if in sudden doubt. Yeah, he did not expect that. Not at all. Oh, damn. He's like, shit, she might be right. It's a woman. Damn. I hate my life. Very amazement for a moment conquered Mary's fear. He opened his wide eyes, and the blackness was lifted from them. There, some paces from him, sat the great beast, and all seemed dark about it. And above it loomed the Nazgul Lord, like a shadow of despair. A little to the left, facing them, stood she whom he had called Durnhelm, but the helm of her secrecy had fallen from her, and her bright hair, released from its bonds, gleamed with pale gold upon her shoulders. Her eyes, gray as the sea, were hard and fell, and yet tears were on her cheek. A sword was in her hand, and she raised her shield against the horror of her enemies' eyes. I have a painting of this. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. You can see why I couldn't stop reading after this. Okay. Eowyn it was, and Durnhelm also. For into Mary's mind flashed the memory of the face that he saw at the riding from Dunharrow, the face of one that goes seeking death, having no hope. Pity filled his heart and great wonder. And suddenly the slow kindled courage of his race awoke. Hobbits forever! He clenched his hand. She should not die so fair, so desperate. At least she should not die alone, unaided. The face of their enemy was not turned toward him, but still he hardly dared to move, dreading lest the deadly eyes should fall on him. Slowly, slowly he began to crawl aside. But the great captain, endowed in malice, intent upon the woman before him, heeded him no more than a worm in the mud. Suddenly, the great beast beat its hideous wings, and the wind of them was foul. Again it leaped into the air, and then swiftly fell down upon Eowyn, shrieking, striking with beast and claw. Still she did not blench. Maiden of the Rohirrim, child of kings, slender but as a steel blade, fair yet terrible. A swift stroke she dealt, skilled and deadly. The outstretched neck she clove asunder, and the huge head fell like a stone. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh gosh. It felt like a stone, damn it. It's like, take that, you stupid Nazgul writing monster thing. Backward she sprang as a huge shape crashed to ruin. That's very smart. Vast wings outspread, crumpled on the earth, and with its fall the shadow passed away. A light fell about her, and her hair shone in the sunrise. Yeah. Clothed with the sun? Out of the wreck rose the Black Rider, tall and threatening, towering above her. With a cry of hatred that stung the very ears like venom, he let fall his mace. Her shield was shivered in many pieces, and her arm was broken. She stumbled to her knees. He bent over her like a cloud, and his eyes glittered. He raised his mace to kill. But suddenly he too stumbled forward with a cry of bitter pain, and his stroke went wide, driving into the ground. Mary's sword had stabbed him from behind, shearing through the black mantle and passing up beneath the horak, whatever you pronounce it, and pierced the sinew behind his mighty knee. Yeah! Eowyn! Eowyn! Cried Mary. Then tottering, struggling up with her last strength, she drove her sword between crowd. Oh, damn it. He's crying. Eowyn. She's standing up with her last of her strength, drove her sword between crown and mantle. As the great shoulders bowed before her, the sword broke sparkling into many shards. The crown rolled away with a clang. Eowyn fell forward upon her fallen foe, but lo, the mantle and the hauberk were empty. Shapeless they lay now on the ground, torn and tumbled, and a cry went up into the shuddering air and faded to a shrill wailing, passing with the wind, a voice bodiless and thin that died and was swallowed up and was never heard again in that age of this world. That is how you write a woman. Two thumbs up. It's but Mary giving the assist, like at the World Cup. And you pass the football, when you pass the soccer ball, and then the person comes in and just slams holding the goal. It's just so epic. That's what was. And there stood Meriadoc in the Hobbit. I like it the way he says it. The Hobbit. It's like he gives him his title, like Hobbits forever. Like hobbits are now famous forever on this field of battle. And there stood Meriadoc, the Hobbit, can I say it? Mary the Hobbit, in the midst of the slain, blinking like an owl in the daylight, for tears blinded him. And through a mist he looked on Eowyn's fair head, and she lay and did not move. And he looked on the face of the king, fallen in the midst of his glory. For Snowmane in his agony had rolled away from him again, yet he was the bane of his master. Oh, well, it's not Snowmane's fault. And please, can someone put Snowmane out of his misery? I mean, don't be letting him sit in there crying and suffering. Then Merry stooped and lifted his hand to kiss it, and lo, Theoden opened his eyes, and they were clear, and he spoke in a quiet voice so labored. Farewell, Master Holbata, he said. My body is broken. I go to my fathers, and even in their mighty company I shall not now be ashamed. I felled the black serpent, a grim morn, and a glad day, in a golden sunset. Merry could not speak, but wept anew. Forgive me, Lord, he said at last, if I broke your command, and yet have done no more in your service than to weep at our parting. The old king smiled. Grieve not, it is forgiven. Great heart will not be denied. Live now in blessedness. And when you sit in peace with your pipe, think of me. For never shall I sit with you in Meduseld as I promised, or listen to your herb lore. He closed his eyes, and Merry bowed beside him. Presently he spoke again. Where is Eomer? For my eyes darkness, and I would see him ere I go. He must be king after me. And I would send word to Eowyn. She would not have me leave her, and now I shall not see her again, dearer than daughter. Lord, Lord, began Merry brokenly, she is... But at that moment there was a great clamor, and all about them horns and trumpets were blowing. Merry looked around. He had forgotten the war and all the world beside, and many hours it seemed since the king rode to his fall, though in truth it was only a little while. But now he saw that they were in danger of being caught in the very midst of the great battle that would soon be joined. Yeah, it could become friendly fire. I think in this case, friendly trampling. I'm going to need chocolate after this. New forces of the enemy were hastening up the road from the river, and from under the walls came the legions of Morgul. And from the southward fields came footmen of Harad, with horsemen before him, and behind them rose the huge backs of those big war tower thing, Mumakil, I'm probably mispronouncing this, with war towers upon them. But northward, the white crest of Eomer led the great front of the Rohirrim, which he had again gathered and marshaled. And out of the city came all the strength of men that was in it. And the silver swan of Dol Amroth was borne in the van, driving the enemy from the gate. For a moment, the thought flitted through Merry's mind. Where's Gandalf? Is he not here? Could he not have saved the king and Eowyn? But thereupon Eomer rode up in haste, and with him came the knights of the household that still lived and had now mastered their horses. They looked in wonder at the carcass of the felled beast that lay there, and their steeds would not go near. Can you imagine coming upon that? Can you? Ah, dang. Whew. But Eomer leaped from the saddle, and grief and dismay fell upon him as he came to the king's side and stood there in silence. Then one of the knights took the king's banner from the hand of Gulaf, the banner bearer who lay dead, and he lifted it up. He lifted up the king's banner. Slowly Theoden opened his eyes. Seeing the banner, he made a sign that it should be given to Eomer. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hail, King of the Mark, he said. Ride now to victory. Bid Eowyn farewell. And so he died, and knew not that Eowyn lay near him. And those who stood by wept, crying, Theoden King, Theoden King. But Aemir said to them, Mourn not overmuch. Mighty was the fallen, meet was his ending. When his mound is raised, women then shall weep. War now calls us. Oh. You see, it says even here, women shall weep. So I'm just doing what Tolkien says. Yet he himself wept as he spoke. Gosh. Okay, let's just pause for a moment and appreciate Theoden saying to Aemir, Hail, King of the Mark. He's the first person to call him king, to hail him. Hail, King of the Mark, ride now to victory. Let the knights remain here, he said, and bear his body in honor from the field, lest the battle ride over it. Yea, and all these other of the king's men that lie here. And he looked at the slain, recalling their names. Then suddenly he beheld his sister Eowyn as she lay, and he knew her. He stood a moment as a man who is pierced in the midst of a cry by an arrow through the heart. And then his face went deathly white, and a cold fury rose in him, so that all speech failed him for a while. A fey mood took him. Eowyn, Eowyn, he cried at last. Eowyn, how came you here? What madness or devilry is this? Death, 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 death take us all. Then, without taking counsel or waiting for the approach of the men of the city, he spurred headlong back to the front of the great host and blew a horn and cried aloud for the onset. Over the field rang his clear voice calling, Death, ride, ride to ruin and the world's ending. And with that the host began to move, but the Rohirrim sang no more. Death, they cried with one voice, loud and terrible, and gathering speed like a great tide, their battle swept about their fallen king and passed roaring away southward. Yeah, the whole death thing was Aemir's. Whew. Oh, you know what? I'm going to wipe my glasses here. Gosh darn it. Theoden and Tolkien and Mary and them smoking pipes together, and oh boy, Theoden, what a character. What a badass character. I mean, I would pledge my sword to him if I had one. Closest I have to a sword is a knife opener, because it's cheaper, and I just think it would be a bad idea. Me and a sword, yeah, I can't even drink a cup of tea or a cup of coffee without spilling it, let alone a sword. Ooh, can you imagine that gun? Genie Mac. All right, we have death, death, death. Let me take a drink. And still, Merodach the Hobbit stood there blinking through his tears, and no one spoke to him. Indeed, none seemed to heed him. Well, yeah, he's just standing there, little hobbit. He brushed away the tears and stooped to pick up the green shield that Eowyn had given him, and he slung it at his back. Then he looked for his sword that he had let fall. For even as he struck the blow, his arm was numbed, and now he could only use his left hand. Yeah, I see, this is some scary stuff that's coming up. And behold, there lay his weapon, but the blade was smoking like a dry branch that had been thrust in a fire, and as he watched it, it writhed and withered and was consumed. So passed the sword of the Barrow-Downs, work of Westernesse. But glad would he have been to know its fate, who wrought it slowly long ago in the northern kingdom, when the Dunedain is young, and chief among their foes was the dread of Angmar and its sorcerer king. No other blade, no other mightier hands had wielded it. would have dealt that foe a wound so bitter, cleaving the undead flesh, breaking the spell that knit his unseen sinews to his will. Ooh, boy. And you see, this is where we see the hands of providence coming in. Oh gosh. But can you imagine Emily sitting there picking it up? But Tom Bombadil doesn't do anything. Or does he? You see, that is the moment. Oh, again, everything is connected. Tom Bombadil was the one who gave the sword to him. And that was the only sword that could have given that kind of a thing, kind of a twist going through those arrows, that dead flesh. It like broke a spell that was about him. I mean, damn it. And then, of course, Awen was able then to go and do her killing shot. Awen and Mary forever. What's really cool is that we know from the appendices that they all like hang out. They still go do things. Awen gives him a special horn, a little heirloom. Oh, I just can't take it. Okay, let's continue. Men raised the king, and laying cloaks upon spear truncheons, they made shift to bear him away toward the city. So they make a makeshift little beer thing to carry him. Not a beer, I think, because that's what you burn. Others lifted Eowyn gently up and bore her after him. So they're doing an honor guard thing for the bodies. But the men of the king's household they could not yet bring from the field, for 7 of the king's knights had fallen there, and I can't pronounce them, their chief was among them. So they laid them apart from their foes, and the fell beasts, and set spears about them. And afterwards, when all was over, men returned and made a fire there, and burned the carcass of the beast. Yeah, jerk. But for Snowmane, gosh darn it. But for Snowmane, they dug a grave and set up a stone upon which was carved in the tongues of Gondor and the mark, faithful servant, yet master's bane, Lightfoot's full, swift shadow mane. Oh, you see, and they didn't even hold it against him. Oh, so the horse got like an honor grave and a marking. Not connected, I know, and not to trivialize anything, but there was a dog in 9/11 that they also have an honor thing, like a park in his name. Now, obviously, the human lives lost were horrendous, but I think it's cool, so that if you do have a dog around that area, there's a dog run park and named after it. That just kind of came to my mind. But yeah, Shadowmane, even though it was his master's bane, I mean, it wasn't his fault. Like I said, the horse got shot. But yeah, no hard feelings. And who is here? Definitely no hard feelings. It is Charlie Stevenson, 3500. It's been a minute. Great to see you. Great to see you. My gosh, I just love this book so much. I just can't stand it. Oh boy, wait till we get to March 25th, because that's going to be a double feature, because here I will be doing the whole The Ring Gets Destroyed, and a companion one over on Catholic explaining the liturgy for March 25th, or rather the readings. Obviously, I am in no place to do any liturgy, and I will be using the missal that Tolkien would have used, the Old Latin Mass one, when he wrote this book. It's all connected. Green and long grew the grass on Snowmane's hoe. Gosh darn it. They gave it a name. These bastards. But ever black and bare was the ground where the beast burned. Yeah, like so forever. It's like the salting of the ground. but the burning of the ground. No living thing could touch it. Let's see. Oh, those bastards. Why are you doing this to me? All right, so now we got the horse with his mark. Now, slowly and sadly, Mary walked beside the bearers, and he gave no more heed to the battle. Yeah, he was done. He couldn't do anything else. I mean, he's wounded, though at this point he doesn't know by how much. He was weary and full of pain, and his limbs trembled as with a chill. Dude's getting worse. A great rain came out of the sea, and it seemed that all things wept for Theoden and Eowyn, quenching the fires in the city with gray tears. It was through a mist that presently he saw the van of the men of Gondor approaching. Imrahil, prince of Dol Amroth, rode up and drew rein before him. Yeah, this is a character again that was not at all in the movie, but definitely plays a big part. Well, what does he say? We shall find out. He says, "What burden do you bear, men of Rohan?" Theoden King, they answered. He is dead, but Aemir King now rides in the battle. He with the white crest in the wind. Damn. Then the prince went from his horse and knelt by the bier in honor. Oh, dang it, dude. And rising, then knelt by the bier in honor of the king and his great onset, and he wept. And rising, he looked then on Eowyn and was amazed. Have even the women of the Rohirrim come to war in our need? It's like, dang, man. Nay, one only, they answered. The Lady Eowyn is she, sister of Aemir, and we knew not of her riding until this hour, and greatly we rue it. Then the prince, seeing her beauty, though her face was pale and cold, touched her hand as he bent to look more closely on her. Men of Rohan, he cried, are there no leeches among you? She is hurt to the death, maybe, but I deem she yet lives. She is not dead yet. I said that, not him. And he held the bright burnished vembris that was upon his arm before her cold lips, and behold, a little mist was laid on it, hardly to be seen. Yes, thank you. Thank you for testing it, but I guess it really looked like she was dead. Haste now is needed. And he sent one riding swiftly back to the city to bring aid. But he, bowing low to the falling, bade them farewell, and mounting, rode away into battle. Yeah, battle ain't over yet. And now the fighting waxed furious on the fields of the Pelennor, and the din of arms rose upon high, with the crying the men, and the neighing of horses. Horns were blown, and trumpets were braying, and the Mumakil were bellowing as they were goaded to war. Under the south walls of the city, the footmen of Gondor now drove against the legions of Morgul that were still gathered there in strength. But the horsemen rode eastward to the succor of Eowyn, Hurin the Tall, Warden of the Keys, and the Lord of Lasernach, and Hirlin of the Green Hills, and Prince Imrahil the Fair, with his knights all about him. Not too soon came their aid to the Rohirrim, for fortune had turned against Aemir, and his fury had betrayed him. Yeah, dude who's mad fights really well, but sometimes not wisely. The great wrath of his onset had utterly overthrown the front of his enemies, and great wedges of his riders had passed clear through the ranks of the Southrons, discomfiting their horsemen and riding their footmen to ruin. But wherever the Mumakil came, the horses would not go, but blinched and swerved away, and the great monsters were unfought and stood like towers of defense, and the Haradrim rallied about them. Hope once again, if I'm mispronouncing anything, please let me know. And if the Rohirrim at their onset were thrice outnumbered by the Haradrim alone, soon their case became worse, for new strength now came streaming to the field out of Osgiliath. There they had been mustered for the sack of the city and the grape of Gondor, waiting on the call of their captain. He was now destroyed, but Gothmog, the lieutenant of the Morgul, had flung them into the fray. So that reinforcements, man, they're screwed. Easterlings with axes and Vargs of Khand, Southrons in scarlet, and out of Far Harad, black men like half trolls with white eyes and red tongues. Yeah, maybe he could have had a better description. Some now hastened up behind the Rohirrim, others held westward to hold off the forces of Gondor and prevent their joining with Rohan. Ooh. Ugh. Okay, thank goodness all that's over. Again, I should have brought chocolate with me to eat while I'm doing this, because I need chocolate after that. My emotions are a mess. It was even as the day began to turn against Gondor, their hope wavered, that a new cry went up in the city. It being then mid-morning, and a great wind blowing, and the rain flying north, and the sun shining, in that clear air, watchmen on the walls saw afar a new sight of fear, and their last hope left them. I love the tension. For Anduin, from the bend at Harlan, so flowed from the city, men could look down it lengthwise for some leagues, and the far-sighted could see any ships that approached, and looking thither, they cried in dismay. For black against the glittering stream, they beheld a fleet borne up on the wind, dromons, and the ships of great draught with many oars, and with black sails bellying in the breeze. The corsairs of Umbar, men shouted. The corsairs of Umbar, look, the corsairs of Umbar are coming. So Belfalis is taken, and the Ether and the whatever name is gone. The corsairs are upon us. It is the last stroke of doom. I'm like, can you at least give a little bit of encouragement here? My gosh. I mean, Theoden was up there going, don't be afraid. Go, 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 go. And these guys were like, oh man, we're screwed. And some without order, for none could be found to command them in the city, ran to the bells and told the alarm, and some blew the trumpets, sounding the retreat. Back to the walls, they cried. Back to the walls. Come back to the city before all are overwhelmed. But the wind that sped their ships blew all their clamor away. Oh. Yeah, they're screwed. Let's just give up. Story's over. Thanks for playing, kids. The Rohirrim indeed had no need of news or alarm. All too well they could see for themselves the black sails. For Aemir was scarcely a mile from Harland, and the great press of the first foes was between them and the haven there, while new foes came swirling behind, cutting him off from the prince. Yeah. I should have known better than to do this. I don't know how I'm going to survive March 25th. It's going to get ugly. Oof, it's going to get ugly. The Rohirrim... Oh, wait. I already said that. Now he looked to the river, and hope died in his heart. And the wind that he had blessed, he now called accursed. Mordor were enheartened and filled with a new lust and fury. They came yelling to the onset. What will we do? Stern now was Aemir's mood, and his mind clear again. He let blow the horns to rally all men to his banner that could come thither, for he thought to make a great shield wall at the last. Yeah, badass shield wall, and stand and fight there on foot till all fell, and do deeds of song on the fields of Pelennor, though no man should be left in the west to remember the last king of the Mark. So he rode to a green hillock and there set his banner. I wish we could have seen this in the movie. He was done dirty. He set his banner, and the white horse ran, rippling in the wind. Out of doubt, out of dark, to the day's rising I came, singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. To hope's end I rode, and to heart's breaking. Now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. I love the way they can just do poetry in the middle of all this battle. I don't know if they're making it up, or you know what? Maybe it's just he's that talented. These staves he spoke, yet he laughed as he said them. Yeah, laugh in the face of death. For once more lust of battle was on him, and he was still unscathed, and he was young, and he was king, the lord of a fell people. And lo, even as he laughed at despair, he looked out again on the black ships, and he lifted up his sword to defy him. Yeah. And then wonder took him, and a great joy. He cast his sword up in the sunlight and sang as he caught it. Then all eyes followed his gaze, and behold, upon the foremost ship a great standard broke, and the wind displayed it as she turned toward the Holland. There, wait, I gotta quit hitting my table thing here. There flowered a white tree, and that was for Gondor. But 7 stars were about it, and a high crown above it, the signs of Elendil that no lord had borne for years beyond count. And the stars flamed in the sunlight, for they were wrought of gems by Arwen, daughter of Elrond. And the crown was bright in the morning, for it was wrought of mithril and gold. Yeah, that is the coolest thing, the most epic thing that Arwen does in the books, and they left it out. She was the one who made the banner and the whole symbolism of the feminine genius. I mean, do not underestimate women's talents with tapestry and sewing and all of this. And we were the ones that made the banners, and it's shining in the sun because it's like a mix of Gondor, but you know, it has gems and mithril. It's gold. It's glittering in the sun. The first time we see a standard unfurled in such a brilliant way. Thus came Aragorn, son of Arathorn, Elisar, Isildur's heir, out of the paths of the dead, borne upon a wind from the sea to the kingdom of Gondor. This is his kingdom. And the mirth of the Rohirrim was a torrent of laughter and a flashing of swords, and the joy and wonder of the city was a music of trumpets and a ringing of bells. But the hosts of Mordor were seized with bewilderment, and a great wizardry it seemed to them that their own ships should be filled with their foes. And a black dread fell upon them. Ha ha ha, yeah, screw you. Knowing that the tides of fate had turned against them, and their doom was at hand. East rode the knights of Dol Amroth, driving the enemy before them, trollmen and vargs and orcs that hated the sunlight. South strode Eomer, and men fled before his face. I would too. That man's intimidating. And they were caught between the hammer and the anvil. Boom! For now men leaped like the ships to the keys of the Harlan and swept north like a storm. There came Legolas and Gimli, wielding his axe. Yes! And Halbrand with his standard, and Eladin and Elrohir with stars on their brow, and the dour-handed Dunedain, rangers of the north, leading a great valor of folk of can't pronounce it right now, and feast of the south. But before all went Aragorn with the flame of the west, and Dur like a new fire kindled, Narsil reforged as deadly as of old, and upon his brow was the star of Elendil. So at last, Eomer and Aragorn met in the midst of the battle, and they leaned on their swords and looked on one another and were glad. That's the understatement of the year. Thus we meet again, though all the horse of Mordor lay between us, said Aragorn. Did I not say so at the Hornburg? So you spoke, said Eomer, but hope oft deceives, and I knew not then that you were a man foresighted. Yet twice blessed is help unlooked for, and never was a meeting of friends more joyful. And they clasped hand in hand. Bro moment. Nor indeed more timely, said Eomer. You come none too soon, my friend. Much loss and sorrow has befallen us. Then let us avenge it ere we speak of it, said Aragorn, and they rode back to battle together. Oh, yeah. Again, I just can't say enough that I wanted to see more of that, but you know what? Screw him. There are things that Peter Jackson cut from Return of the King that were unforgivable. Definitely in the theatrical cut. And keep in mind that Aladdin and Elor here, they're the siblings of Arwen. So they're going to be his brother-in-law, Aragorn, that they're there with him. So elves are fighting alongside them here. Whew. So they're going back to battle. Sorry, my voice. Okay, hard fighting and long labor they had still, for the Southrons were bold men and grim and fierce in despair, and the Easterlings were strong and war-hardened and asked for no quarter. And so in this place and that, by burned homestead or barn, upon hillock or mound, upon wall or on field, still they gathered and rallied and fought until the day wore away. Then the sun went at last behind Mindolian and filled all the sky with a great burning, so that the hills and the mountains were dyed as with blood. Fire glowed in the river, and the grass of the Pelennor lay red in the nightfall. And in that hour, the great battle of the field of Gondor was over. He capitalized that. And not one living foe was left within the circuit of the Ramas. All were slain save those who fled to die, or to drown in the red foam of the river. Whoa. Whoa, bros. Oof. Few ever came eastward to Morgul or Mordor, and to the land of the Haradrim came only a tale from far off, a rumor of the wrath and terror of Gondor. And some wonder why I love them so much. Aragorn and Eomer and Imrahil rode back toward the gate of the city, and they were now weary beyond joy or sorrow. These three were unscathed, for such was their fortune and the skill and might of their arms, and few indeed had dared to abide them or look on their faces in the hour of their wrath. Yeah, can you imagine? But many others were hurt or maimed or dead upon the field. The axes hewed for long as he fought alone and unhorsed, and both Dulain and his brother were trampled to death when they assailed the Mumakil, leading their bowmen close to shoot at the eyes of the monsters. Yeah, they were they were trampled as they were leading their men, which makes sense that would happen. Neither Helon the Fair would return to Penethgillen, and if I'm mispronouncing these names, I apologize. I am not a Tolkien linguist person. All these dudes died. And Halbarad from the north, dour-handed ranger. No few had fallen, renowned or nameless, captain or soldier, for it was a great battle, and the full count of it no tale has told. So long afterward, a maker in Rohan said in his song of the mounds of Moonburg, we heard of the horns in the hills ringing, the swords shining in the south kingdom. Steeds went striding to the stoning land, as winds in the morning. War was kindled. There Theoden fell, Thangling mighty, to his golden halls and green pastures in the northern fields, never returning, high lord of the host. Harding and Gulaf, I can't pronounce their names, and all these guys fought and fell there in a far country. In the mounds of Moonburg under would they lie with their league fellows, lords of Gondor. Neither all these other guys would they go back to their lands or to their country return in triumph, nor the tall bowman, I can't pronounce his name right now, and all this. Death in the morning, and at day's ending, lords took and lowly. Long now they sleep under grass in Gondor by the great river. Gray now as tears, gleaming silver, red as it rolled, roaring water, foam dyed with blood, flamed at sunset, as beacons mountains burned at evening. Red fell the dew in Ramasecor. So I like this poem because it shows that this is how they would remember. I can see them sitting around singing this in Rohan, or the little minstrel guy. But also it says that they are sleeping under the grass in Gondor by the great river. So we know that these all were buried, and most likely many would be buried in mass graves. So, meanwhile, Denethor decides he's going to turn he and Faramir into human torches. And we have Beregond. Now, what I like about Beregond, he is in the steward's place where the funeral, where they're all buried, and he leaves his post and defies Denethor to fight off the ones that are bringing the torches, and he kills them. He regrets it. He regrets it, and he is going to have to pay for it, but in a good way. But yes, he kind of loses his mind, and our man Faramir did not die. Obviously, he did not become a human torch, and of course, Denethor didn't run like a lunatic. That's just crazy. It is also revealed that he has a Palantir, and it says that people that looked into it would only see two aged hands writhing in flame. So it's like what was happening, it seared itself into the Palantir. So passes Denethor. And again, in the movie, it was ridiculous. He's running, and when he said so passes Denethor, it's like running past. And so also the days of Gondor that you have known, for good or evil they are ended. Ill deeds have been done here. But let now all enmity that lies between you be put away, for it was contrived by the enemy and works his will. Yeah, that the enemy was working in all of this weirdness that was going on with Denethor. And he's talking to the men, some of them that were fighting and some that were going to be burning him. You have been caught in a net of warring duties that you did not weave. But think, you servants of the Lord, blind in your obedience, that but for the treason of Beregond, Faramir, captain of the White Tower, would now also be born. Bear away from this unhappy place your comrades who had fallen. Say, bear away from this unhappy place your comrades who have fallen. Yeah, it's like a little battle happened around the pyre. And we will bear Faramir, steward of Gondor, the greatest man who ever lived, the most perfect character who ever was. Wait, Gandalf didn't say that. Sorry. We will bear Faramir, steward of Gondor, to a place where he can sleep in peace or die, if that be his doom. Then Gandalf and Beregund, taking up the bier, bore away towards the houses of healing, while behind them walked Pippin with downcast head. So we have them going toward the houses of healing with my man Faramir, and they also have Eowyn heading there with Merry beside them, and they're carrying the body of our King Theoden, to whom I swear my sword. Let me see. Oh, he talks more about the Palantir, but we don't care. I mean, we do care, but just not today. So we now know that they're going to the houses of healing. Now we're in the houses of healing. A mist was in Mary's eyes of tears and weariness when they drew near the ruined gate of Minas Tirith. Aww. He gave little heed to the wreck and slaughter that lay about all. Fire and smoke and stench was in the air, for many engines had been burned or cast into the fire pits, and many of the slain also. While here and there lay many carcasses of the great southern monsters, half burned or broken by stonecast or shot through the eyes by the valiant archers of Morthon. Yeah, this would smell. I remember reading about the Battle of Gettysburg. Like after the Battle of Gettysburg, the stench from all like the dead horses, even just the horses, just horrendous. The city was wrapped in a smoldering reek. Already men were laboring to clear a way through the jetsam of battle, and now out of the gate, some bearing litters. Gently they laid Eowyn upon soft pillows, but the king's body they covered with a great cloth of gold, and they bore torches about him, and their flames, pale in the sunlight, were fluttered by the wind. "O my king!" So Theoden and Eowyn came to the city of Gondor, and all who saw them bared their heads and bowed. And they passed through the ash and fume of the burned circle, and went on and up along the streets of stone. To Mary, the ascent seemed age-long, a meaningless journey in a hateful dream, going on and on to some dim ending that memory cannot seize. Slowly, the lights of the torches in front of him flickered and went out, and he was walking in a darkness, and he thought, "This is a tunnel leading to a tomb. There we shall stay forever." But suddenly, into his dream fell a living voice. Yay! "Well, Mary, thank goodness I have found you." He looked up, and the mist before his eyes cleared a little. We know what's happening to him. There was Pippin. They were face to face in a narrow lane, and but for themselves it was empty. He rubbed his eyes. "Where is the king?" he said, "and Eowyn?" Then he stumbled and sat down on a doorstep and began to weep again. "They have gone up into the citadel," said Pippin. "I think you must have fallen asleep on your feet and taken the wrong turning. When we found that you were not with them, Gandalf sent me to look for you." Poor old Mary. "How glad I am to see you again, but you are worn out, and I won't bother you with any talk. But tell me, are you hurt or wounded?" "No," said Mary. "Well, no, I don't think so. But I can't use my right arm, Pippin, not since I stabbed him, and my sword burned all away like a piece of wood." Pippin's face was anxious. "Well, you had better come with me as quick as you can," he said. "I wish I could carry you. You aren't fit to walk any further. They shouldn't have let you walk at all, but you must forgive them. So dreadful things have happened in the city, Mary, that one poor hobbit coming in from the battle is easily overlooked." It's not always a misfortune being overlooked, said Mary. I was overlooked just now by... No, I can't speak of it. Help me, Pippin. It's all going dark again, and my arm is so cold. Yeah, it's getting... This is scary. Oh, lean on me, Mary, lad, said Pippin. Come now, foot by foot. It's not far. Are you going to bury me? Said Mary. No, indeed, said Pippin, trying to sound cheerful, though his heart was wrung with fear and pity. No, we are going to the houses of the healing. Yeah, this whole despair thing and everything, this is that black breath. This is the same thing that Eowyn has now, and so is my man, Faramir. So up they go, step by step, and Mary is swaying and murmuring as one in sleep. I'll never get him there, thought Pippin. Is there no one to help me? I can't leave him here. Just then, to his surprise, a boy came running up behind, and as he passed, he recognized Bergil, Baragon's son. Hello, Bergil, he called. Where are you going? Glad to see you again and still alive. I'm running errands for the healers, said Bergil. I cannot stay. Don't, said Pippin. But tell them up there, or say don't, said Pippin. But tell them up there that I have a sick hobbit. A Parian, mind you, if on the battlefield. I don't think he can walk so far. If Mithrandir is there, he will be glad of the message. So yeah, the little errand boy, little cutie, is running errands, which makes sense. That's what they would do with a boy. And he's like, go get Mithrandir. Let him know. I better wait here, thought Pippin. So he let Mary sink gently onto the pavement in a patch of sunlight. And then he sat down beside him, laying Mary's head in his lap. Oh, because they love each other so much. He felt his body and limbs gently and took his friend's hands in his own. The right hand felt icy to the touch. It was not long before Gandalf himself came in search of them. He stooped over Mary and caressed his brow. Then he lifted him carefully. He should have been born in honor into this city, he said. He has well repaid my trust. And then far more grievous would the evils as if they have been. Wait. Oh, sorry. For if Elrond had not yielded to me, neither of you would have set out. Yeah, it was meant to be that they were there at this moment. Yet here is another charge in my hands for all the time the battle hangs in the balance. So at last, Faramir and Eowyn and Meriadoc were laid in beds in the House of Healing, and we know that what's going to be going on between the three of them. Wait, that sounded wrong. The two of them, we know what's going to... There's going to be some of that, but they're going to be bound together. They're going to be healing together, and, Mary is in service of Eowyn, and Pippin is in service to Faramir, and they're all connected. So the three of them are going to the houses of the healing. And there they were attended well. For though all lore was in the latter days fallen, cat interference, fallen from its fullness of old, the leechcraft of Gondor was still wise, and skilled in the healing of wound and hurt, and all such sickness as east of the sea mortal men were subject to, save old age only. For that they had found no cure, and indeed the span of their lives had now waned to little more than that of other men. And then they're saying, except those that were among purer blood. But now their art of knowledge were baffled, for there were many sick of a malady that would not be healed, and they called it the Black Shadow, for it came from the Nazgul. And those who were stricken with it fell slowly into an ever deeper dream. This is creepy. And then passed to silence and a deadly cold, and so died. And it seemed to the tenders of the sick that on the halfling and on the lady of Rohan this malady lay heavily. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were there at the source. Still, while as the morning wore away, they would speak, murmuring in their dreams, and the watchers listened to all that they said, hoping perhaps to learn something that would help them to understand their hurts. But soon they began to fall down into the darkness, and as the sun turned west, a gray shadow crept over their faces. But Faramir burned with a fever that would not abate. Yeah, he had another wound. I mean, he had a double dose of woundeds. Gandalf went from one to the other full of care, and he was told all that the watchers could hear. And so the day passed, while the great battle outside went on with shifting hopes and strange tidings. And still Gandalf waited and watched and did not go forth, till at last the red sunset filled all the sky, and the light through the windows fell on the gray faces of the sick. Then it seemed to those who stood by that in the glow of the faces flushed softly as with health returning, but it was only a mockery of hope. Then an old wife, Erith, man, am I pronouncing this chick's name right? Sometimes when you pronounce them in your head, it's different. Let's see, what do they say? But yeah, she's the chick who's in charge of the houses of healing. She's the oldest one, looking on the fair face of Faramir because we love him. Everyone loves him for different reasons. He's the best character in the whole book, and I will die on that hill. Well, we all know Sam is. I mean, there's so many great characters. He looks like Erith. Sounds good to me. If I'm wrong, let me know. And she's looked on my man and wept, for all the people loved him. Damn right, everyone loves him. And she said, alas, if he should die, would that there were kings in Gondor, as there were once upon a time, they say. For it is said in the old lore, the hands of the king are the hands of a healer. And so the rightful king could ever be known. Mm-hmm. And Gandalf, who stood by, said, men may long remember your words. Yeah, well done. Now they have a song out of this. Erith, for there is hope in them. Maybe a king has indeed returned to Gondor. Or have you not heard the strange tidings that have come to the city? I have been too busy with this and that to heed all the crying and shouting, she answered. All I hope is that those murdering devils do not come to the houses and trouble the sick. Yep. Which makes sense. I mean, yeah, when you're sitting there tending wounds and things, how can you? Then Gandalf went out in haste, and already the fire in the sky was burning out, and the smoldering hills were fading, while ash-gray evening crept over the fields. And as the sun went down, Aragorn and Éomer and Imrahil drew near the city with their captains and knights, and when they came before the gate, Aragorn said, Behold the sun setting in a great fire. I'm glad you're here to tell us these things. It is a sign of the end and the fall of many things, and a change in the tides of the world. Yes, everything is changing, because once all this is done, the third age will be ended and the fourth will begin. But this city and realm has rested in the charge of the stewards for many long years, and I fear that if I enter it unbidden, then doubt and debate may arise. Yeah, it's very practical stuff here. Which should not be while this war is fought. I will not enter in, nor make such claim, until it has been seen whether we or Mordor shall prevail. Men shall pitch my tents upon the field, and here I will await the welcome of the Lord of the city. Yeah, he doesn't know, Dennis Ward's dead and everything. But Éomer said, Éomer's making a very good point here. Already you have raised the banner of the kings and displayed the tokens of Elendil's house. Will you suffer these to be challenged? It's like, dude, it's too late, man. No, said Aragorn, but I deem the time unripe, and I have no mind for strife except with our enemy and his servants. I mean, it's making it practical. Like in the midst of all this, it's like, hey, here's a king, here's a steward. What do we do? Oh my gosh. And the prince Imrahil said, Your words, Lord, are wise. If one who is a kinsman of the Lord Denethor may counsel you in this matter. He is strong-willed and proud, but old, and his mood has been strange since his son was stricken down. Yet I would not have you remain like a beggar at the door. Not a beggar, said Aragorn. Say a captain of the rangers who are unused to cities and houses of stone. Oh, man, I love Aragorn. And he commanded that his banner should be furled. And he did off the star of the North Kingdom and gave it to the keeping of the sons of Elrond. The sons of Elrond. I just love it. Just love it. They're all going to be so bonded by this. Trauma bonded, yeah, but they're bonded indeed. We're all trauma bonded. Then the prince Imrahil and Amor of Rohan left him and passed through the city and the tumults of the people and mounted to the citadel. And they came to the hall of the tower seeking the steward. But they found his chair empty. It's like, well, yeah. And before the dais lay Theoden, king of the Mark, upon a bed of state. Yeah. The 12 torches stood about it, and 12 guards, knights of both Rohan and Gondor. Oh man, they're all connected. That's why it's so epic and perfect that Faramir and Eowyn, that they hook up. Well, and Theoden's going to hook up with, or is going to marry the daughter of this dude. So in many ways, they're all going to be connected by marriage. And Pippin's going to name his first son Faramir. I mean, come on. All right. And the hangings of the bed were of green and white, but upon the king was laid the great cloth of gold up to his breast, and upon that his unsheathed sword, and at his feet his shield. Oh, Snortopupus! Hello, great to see you. Snortopupus Cooper is a muser of House Rose. Thank you for being here. And while I'm thinking about it, let me make a small pause. Because, man, my voice, yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, pardon me. My cat just knocked over my microphone. Oh, damn it. All right, let me fix this here. Maybe I won't be able to fix it. I am screwed. I will be in despair because all of the black breath and everything is upon me. I think he's figured out I don't want him to mess with it. Or maybe he thinks it's a toy. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with cats. They're evil minions of Satan. And I can say that. A priest said that he hates cats. But I know priests that love cats too. Never mind. It's just me being random now. But thank you, Snortopupus Kuber, for being a muser of House Rose. And yes, one of the things that you will get shout outs and links. So Snortopupus, here is his, let's see. Boom. His Twitter. Hello. Great to see you. We love our animals here at Miss Smart Muses. And before I forget, yeah, Biggles was here. And here's a shout out to his channel. Everyone go sub to him. All right. Paused. Except what does he say? He's saying, hello, humans and other critters, indeed. You missed it. A horse got a special honor and grave and everything. We love it. So, next. Prince Imrahil and Eomer of Rohan left Aragorn, and passed through the city and the tumult of the people, and mounted to the citadel, and they came to the hall of the tower, seeking the steward. Oh, wait, we already said that. At his feet led his shield. The light of the torches, the light of the torches shimmered in his white hair like sun in the spray of a fountain, but his face was fair and young, save that a peace lay on it beyond the reach of youth, and it seemed that he slept. This man can write! Look, I mean, he can write. When they had stood silent for a time beside the king, Imrahil said, "Where is the steward? And where also is Mithrandir?" Yeah, I'm thinking with him asking where the steward is, it's like awkward silence. And I can see people going, who's going to tell him? Who indeed? One of the guards answered. He gives a good answer, actually. What he says is completely true. Gosh. All right, let me see if I can I'm still having trouble with my microphone. Let's set it up here. And I'm just gonna, cat, you will not get scritches behind the ear if you keep this up. All right. So one of the guards very prudently says, no, he does. Denethor is now a human torch. No, he says, the steward of Gondor is in the houses of healing. But Eomer said, Where is the Lady Awen, my sister? For surely she should be lying beside the king, and in no less honor. Where have they bestowed her? And Imrahil said, But the Lady Awen is yet living. She was yet living when they bore her hither. Did you not know? He did know it. He thinks his sister's dead. And he's like, why isn't she here in honor, you sons of biatches? It's like, but she's alive. Then hope unlooked for came so suddenly to Amer's heart, and with it the bite of care and fear renewed, that he said no more, but turned and went swiftly from the hall. Yeah, he's like, son of a holy crap, I'm out of here. She's alive. She's alive. And he runs out. And the prince is following. And by the time they get there, stars are in the sky. It's nighttime. And there came Gandalf on foot, and with him one cloaked in gray. I wonder who that is. And they met before the doors of the houses of healing. And they greeted Gandalf and said, We seek the steward, and men say that he is in this house. Has any hurt befallen him? And the Lady Awen, where is she? And Gandalf answered, She lies within and is not dead. Or rather, he should say, she is not dead yet. And is not dead, but is near death. But the Lord Faramir was wounded by an evil dart, as you have heard. And he is now the steward, for Denethor has departed, and his house is in ashes. And they were filled with grief and wonder at the tale that he told. Yeah, so they thought Denethor was alive. It's like, why is he in here? Why is he wounded? But, of course, it makes sense that Faramir is, because we know he was already wounded. Now he's the steward. What do we have? And Imrahil said, So victory is shorn of gladness, and it is bitter bought. If both Gondor and Rohan are in one day bereft of their lords. Yeah, they lose them in the same day. Éomer rules the Rohirrim. Who shall rule the city meanwhile? Shall we not sin for the Lord Aragorn? Yeah. Because at first he was like, okay, we can deal with this. We got Denethor, but now we don't have Denethor, and Faramir's all, half dead. And the cloaked man spoke and said, He is come. And they saw as he stepped into the light of the lantern by the door that it was Aragorn, wrapped in the gray cloak of Lorien above his mail, and bearing no other token than the green stone of Galadriel. I have come because Gandalf begs me to do so, he said. But for the present, I am but the captain of the Dunedain of Arnor, and the Lord of Dol Amroth shall rule the city until Faramir awakes. So you're in charge now, bud. Acting steward. But it is my counsel that Gandalf should rule us all in the days that follow in our dealings with the enemy. Yeah, because he knows that stuff. Because we all know he's special. Then Gandalf said, Let us not stay at the door, for the time is urgent. Let us enter. For it is only in the coming of Aragorn that any hope remains for the sick that lie in the house. Because it's not just Merry and all of them. All of them kind of probably have this black death upon them. Thus spake Erith, the wise woman of Gondor. The hands of the king are the hands of the healer, and so shall the rightful king be known. Then Aragorn entered first, and the others followed, and there at the door were two guards in the livery of the citadel, one tall, the other scarce the height of a boy. And when he saw them, he cried aloud in surprise and joy, Strider, how splendid! Do you know, I guessed it was you in the black ships, but you were all shouting Corsairs and wouldn't listen to me. How did you do it? Yeah, so cute that he was a little guard there at the door of I just can't stand how cute Pippin is. And yeah, they all were stupid shouting Corsairs and making everyone despair. Aragorn laughed and took the hobbit by the hand. Well met indeed. But there was not time yet for travelers' tales. But Imrahil said to Éomer, Is thus that we speak to our kings? Yet maybe he will wear the crown in some other name. But Aragorn, hearing them, turned and said, Verily, for in the high tongue of old, I am Elisar the Elfstone, and I can't pronounce this name, the Renewer. So he's Elfstone and the Renewer. And he lifted from his breast the green stone that lay there. but Strider shall be the name of my house. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. I can't. If that ever be established, he's not going to leave Strider behind. In the high tongue, it will not sound so ill, and Telcontar I will be, and all the heirs of my body. Yeah, so he's doing it in the high tongue. So, and so they go into the house, and they go to where they are sick. And Gandalf told of the deeds of Eowyn and Merry, so that's how they know. Woo, hero! For long as I stood by them, and at first they spoke much in their dreaming, before they sank into the deadly darkness. So yeah, they're ranting and raving about what happened in a good way, so that way we know. Would that Elrond were here, for he is the eldest of all our race and has the greater power. And he's talking about the healing stuff. And Aemir, seeing that he was both sorrowful and weary, said, First you must rest surely, and at the least eat a little. But Aragorn answered, Nay, for these three, and most soon for Faramir. Time is running out. All speed is needed. Yeah, get to that man. Save him. Save him, darn it. Now, didn't they do that in the movie and that was cut? That wasn't even in the extended edition. We had pictures, I think, of him in the houses of healing, healing Faramir. I mean, I was really mad at the way they did it in the movie. In the theatrical version, they cut out the whole Aemir finding Eowyn and them in the houses of healing and Aragorn doing it, and then you see her kind of looking at the window at Faramir. I mean, that was all they needed for it. But no, you had to cut it like 3 seconds of time. Come on. Let me see. Yeah, I have so much art with all of this. Maybe one day I'll take a picture and just feature it like Lord of the Rings art. Let's see. All right. Images. Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Here it is. Yeah, there was a picture. Yeah, right here. Here's my man being healed. I'm going to save it. Yeah. And Aragorn looks pretty fine, to be honest. Damn. Okay, but you can't see it. Yeah, Aragorn is very fine. But Faramir's better. All right. Faramir's better. We love him. All right, let's continue. Oh yeah, we got to get my man. He goes, and then he's calling to the chick and saying, Hey, do you have like herbs of healing? Yes, Lord, but not enough, I reckon, for all that will need them. But I'm sure I do not know what we shall find more. For all things are amiss in these dreadful days, what with fires and burnings, and the lads that run errands so few, and the roads blocked. And she's saying that it is days of count since they were able to go to a market and get their herbs. But we will do our best in the house with what we have. And then Aragorn's like, well, I'll judge that, see what you have. And also, one also is short, time for speech. One thing also is short, time for speech. Yeah, because she talks a lot. Have you Ethelos? She's, I do not know, I'm sure, Lord, at least not by that name. I will go and ask the herb master. He knows all the old names. And I like to imagine that when Eowyn decides to become a healer, she's going to learn from him. It is also called Kingsfoil, said Aragorn, and maybe you know it by that name, for so the country folk call it in these latter days. Oh, that, said Eorith. Well, if your lordship had named it at first, I could have told you. No, we have none of it, I am sure. Why, I have never heard that it had any great virtue. And indeed, I have often said to my sisters when we came upon it growing in the woods, Kingsfoil, I said. 'Tis a strange name, and I wonder why 'tis called so. For if I were a king, I would have plants more bright in my garden. Still, it smells sweet when bruised, does it not? If sweet is the right word. Wholesome, maybe, is nearer. Wholesome, verily, said Aragorn. And now, dame, if you love the Lord of Faramir, run as quick as your tongue and get me Kingsfoil if there is leaf in the city. I love it. He is like so frustrated. Dang it. All right. Sort of Poopas Cooper says, but we needed the time for all the stuff that wasn't in the book. Peter Jackson. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. I mean, I can't. I just can't. course, the most grievous thing that he cut was Christopher Lee. Can you imagine cutting Christopher Lee? My gosh. He did it. And for that, his name shall live in infamy. Alrighty. But I love it. You like that Aragorn is getting a little frustrated here. But your tongue is quick as your run as quick as your tongue. It's like, if you love the Lord, move. And then Gandalf is saying, okay, I'm going to go and try to ride to, was it Lotharnach? And she shall take me to the woods, but not to her sisters. And Shadowfax shall show her the meaning of haste. I love it. Love it. They says, well, I'll go pick some, because we're going to need a lot of it. So when Eorith was gone, Aragorn bade the older women to make water hot. Then he took Faramir's hand in his and laid the other hand upon the sick man's brow. It was drenched with sweat, but Faramir did not move or make any sign and seemed hardly to breathe. He is nearly spent, said Aragorn, turning to Gandalf, but this comes not from the wound. See, that is healing. Had he been smitten by some dart of the Nazgul, as you thought, he would have died that night. This hurt was given by some southern arrow, I would guess. Who drew it forth? Was it kept? I drew it forth, said Imrahil, and staunched the wound, but I did not keep the arrow, for it had much to do. Yeah, and why would he? It's like, hey, do you want a souvenir? It was, as I remember, just such a dart as the Southrons use, yet I believed it came from the shadows above, for else his fever and sickness were not to be understood, since the wound was not deep or vital. How then do you read the matter? Weariness, grief for his father's mood, a wound, and overall, the black breath. Yeah, man, this guy has issues. That's why he needed healing as much as Eowyn did. He is a man of staunch will, for already he had come close under the shadow before ever he rode to battles on the outhills. Yeah, because he was out in Ithilien. Slowly the dark must have crept on him, even as he fought and strove to hold his outpost. Would that I have come here sooner. Snortapoopa says, that's why we called her Erin the Gappy. Yes, I love it. I love it. And women, we shouldn't take offense at any of this, because it's all true. We talk. And then the herb master comes along and said, well, you asked for king soil, man, as the rustics name it, or Ethelos in the noble tongue, or to those who know somewhat of Pelennorian, I do, said Aragorn, and I care not whether you now say something or Kingsfoil, so long as you have some. He's like, man, will all these people shut up? I don't care what you call it. Just give it to me. And your pardon, Lord, I see you are a lore master, not merely a captain of war. But alas, we do not keep these things in the houses of healing, where only the gravely hurt or sick are tended. For it has no virtue that we know of, save perhaps to sweeten a fouled air or to drive away some passing heaviness, unless, of course, you give heed to rhymes of old days, which women such as our good Eorith still repeat without understanding. When the black breath blows and death shadows grows, and all lights pass, come Athelas, life to the dying in the king's hand lying. And it is but a doggerel, I feel, garbled in the memory of old wives. Its meaning I leave to your judgment, if indeed it has any. But old folks still use an infusion of herbs for headaches. Then in the name of the king, go and find some old man of less lore and more wisdom who keeps some in his house, cried Gandalf. He's like, why the heck won't these people shut up? This is not the time for telling lore, or Ilrith the blabberer. Yeah. Well, and the herb master apparently is the same. Now Aragorn knelt beside Faramir. and held a hand upon his brow. And those that watched felt that some great struggle was going on, for Aragorn's face grew grey with weariness, and ever and anon he called the name of Faramir, but each time more faintly to their hearing, as if Aragorn himself was removed from them, and walked afar in some dark vale, calling for one that was lost. At last Beargill came running in, and he bore 6 leaves in a cloth. Yay, he's the MVP. It is king's foil, sir, he said, but not fresh, I fear. It must have been cold for 2 weeks ago at the least. I hope it will serve, sir. Then looking at Faramir, he burst into tears. Oh, someone give this little boy a hug. But Aragorn smiled. It will serve. Yeah, get this boy a tissue. The worst is over now. Stay and be comforted. Then, taking 2 leaves, he laid them on his hands and breathed on them, and then he crushed them, and straightway a living freshness filled the room, as if the air itself awoke and tingled, sparkling with joy. Yeah, this is like a magical thing that Aragorn's doing. It's, he breathes on it, and I know it's not an allegory, okay, but the king's a healer and all that. You shall know him because he's a healer. That was signs for Jesus. And I'm going through the gospel in Matthew right now in Lent. And the way Jesus heals, he often breathes on things and touches things and mixes them and goes in to them in spirit. It's hard to not see that. But I'm not saying Aragorn is Jesus. Okay. Right. This makes me want to go get herbs and lighten my room. And then he cast the leaves into the bowl of steaming water that were brought to him, and at once all hearts were lightened, for the fragrance that came to each was like a memory of dewy mornings, of unshadowed sun in some land of which the fair world in spring is itself but a fleeting memory. But Aragorn stood up as one refreshed, and his eyes smiled as he held a bowl before Faramir's dreaming face. His dreamy face. Oh, my man, my man. Oh, what is it here? Non-crunchy bear hug for the lad. Yes, he is not a snack. Well, now, who would have believed it, said Erith to a woman that stood beside her. The weed is better than I thought. Okay, we could all crack up. We're all grown-ups here. Suddenly, Faramir stirred and he opened his eyes, and he looked on Aragorn, who bent over him. And a light of knowledge and love was kindled in his eyes, and he spoke softly. My lord, you called me, I come. What does the king command? Oh, hell yes. Walk no more in the shadows, but awake, said Aragorn. You are weary. Rest a while and take food, and be ready when I return. Oh, my heart, my heart. I will, Lord, said Faramir, but who should lie idle when the king has returned? Farewell, then, for a while, said Aragorn. I must go to others who need me. And he left the chamber with Gandalf and Imrahil. But Beregond and his son remained behind, unable to contain their joy. As he followed Gandalf and shut the door, Pippin heard Erith exclaim, King! Did you hear that? What did I say? The hands of a healer, I said. And the word had soon gone out from the house that the king was indeed come among them. And after war, he brought healing and the news ran through the city. Yeah, you can't keep that secret. Hello, everyone coming in, and make yourself be known. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. If you are new, I love this more than anything. And Snort of Poop is, this is magical. We takes a long drive. Yeah. Not that I would know, because yes, I never. But Aragorn came to Eowyn. Here is a grievous hurt and a heavy blow. The arm that was broken has been tended with due skill, and it will mend in time, if she has the strength to live. It is a shield arm that is maimed, but the chief evil comes through the sword arm. In that there seems no life, although it is unbroken. Yeah, because that's what she stabbed the Night King with. Wait, the Night King. The Witch King. Alas, for she was pitted against a foe beyond the strength of her mind or body. And those who will take a weapon to such an enemy must be sterner than steel, if the very shock should not destroy them. It was an evil doom that set her in his path, for she is a fair maiden, fairest lady of a house of queens, and yet I know not how I should speak of her. When I first looked on her and perceived her unhappiness, it seemed to me that I saw a white flower standing straight and proud, shapely as a lily, and yet knew that it was hard, as if wrought by elfrights out of steel. Or was it maybe a frost that turned its sap to ice? And so it stood, bittersweet, still fair to see, but stricken soon to fall and die. Her malady begins far back before this day, does it not, Eomer? Hey, he was just bitching that everyone was talking too much, and that was a lot of talk. Look who's here. It is Shansu. Greetings. At least I made it before the end. You did indeed. Welcome, Shansu, who is also a muser of House Rose. Welcome. It is great to see you. Yeah, we've been going on. I'm slowly getting through this. I cried like a girl, but that's okay. The whole Theoden thing, you just can't read it and just not. Oh my gosh. But it was great. It was great. So thank you for being a muser of House Rose. And I don't think you don't have an active channel, do you? Do you have an X or something I can share to help you with or to share? But either way, thank you very much. Thank you, all of my musers of House Rose and my Sorn Swords. All right, where are we next? Yeah, you know if you're a Sorn Sword because you have a sword with roses on it. All right. Her malady begins far back before this day, does it not, Eomer? Oh, okay, thank you. All right. Just wanted to share because that's one of the perks you get when you're a muser of House Rose. I marvel that you should ask me, Lord, he answered, for I hold you blameless in this matter. Yeah, we needed to have this talk. It's like Aragorn never led Eowyn on in the books. One could argue he did in the movies. Unless they want to say that he's one of those dumbasses that doesn't know, wasn't seeing what he was doing. But I think he was leading her on in the movie. That sucked. We hate you, Peter Jackson, for that. But in the book, no. And he's like, I hold you blameless, man. Yet I knew not that Eowyn, my sister, was touched by any frost until she first looked on you. Yeah, he's saying that there's more to it than this. But the whole Eowyn thing, looking at Aragorn and wanting to follow him and putting all her hopes in him, thinking she was in love with him. Faramir the Perfect has great analysis of this in The Steward of the King. He's saying you loved him because he was, seemed to you something high, like a soldier looks upon his general, or Faramir doesn't use that word, but his commander, but it was not love. And in many ways, he was one of the first dudes that we see that came upon her that wasn't Wormtongue, who wasn't related to her. Sort of Poopa says, I could hear from here. Oh, Hammer, my hero, my heart, my lord of tongues. Yeah, oh, damn. Oh, damn. I mean, these guys are so dreamy and they're in books, but man, did they do a good job. I mean, the actor who played Aemir, the actor who played Aragorn, the actor who played Faramir, the actor, Shambi, played Boromir. It's just like, yes, we were all in love. All right. Care and dread she had, and shared with me in the days of Wormtongue and the King's Bewitchment. Yeah, that whole days of Wormtongue and the King's Bewitchment. I mean, that was really, that was hard on her, and she felt like she was alone. In many ways, she was alone and helpless and trapped, neglected, perhaps. But that did not bring her to this pass. My friend, said Gandalf, he's saying to Aemir, you had horses and deeds of arms and the free fields, but she, born in the body of a maid, had a spirit and courage at least the match of yours. Yet she was doomed to wait upon an old man whom she loved as a father, and watch him falling into mean dishonored dotage, and her part seemed to her more ignoble than that of the staff he leaned on. Yeah. Think you that Wormtongue had poison only for Theoden's ears? Dotard, what is the house of Earl but a thatched barn where brigands drink in the reek and their brats roll in the floor among their dogs? Have you not heard those words before? Saruman spoke them, the teacher of Wormtongue. Though I do not doubt that Wormtongue at home wrapped their meaning in terms more cunning. Yeah. And she's a kid to a certain degree. I forget how long it was trapped underneath him, but she's 24. And in many cases, a woman like Eowyn not being married at 24, that's also a sign of a neglect, being left alone. Like, that's what women were supposed to do. So no one is looking to Eowyn. My lord, if your sister's love for you and her will still bent to her duty had not restrained her lips, you might have heard even such things as these escape them. But who knows what she spoke to the darkness, alone, in the bitter watches of the night, when all her life seemed shrinking, all the walls of her bower closing in about her, a hutch to trammel some wild thing in. Snorta Poopas Cooper says that speech about her and the hours of the night was transposed in the movie. Yes, it was. They gave it to Wormtongue, and even what Gandalf is saying he gave to him. Yeah. They did a good job with that. I'm fine with it in this. Then Aemir was silent and looked on his sister as if pondering anew all the days of their past life together. Yeah, she wasn't seen. I'm sure any chick who saw Aragorn would fall for him. Oh, hell yeah. But maybe it wouldn't have had the wild desperation that it did. The embarrassing desperation. But Aragorn said, I saw also what you saw, Aemir. And he's saying, yeah, dude, it was also this. the whole what he's holding him blameless for. Few other griefs amid the ill chances of this world have more bitterness and shame for a man's heart than to behold the love of a lady so fair and brave that cannot be returned. And this is why we love Aragorn so much. It hurt his heart. It was a grief because he was not tempted by her, okay? But his heart belonged to Arwen. And it was a love he could not return. And it gave him grief as bitterness and shame for his heart. And that he could not return it. And look who's here. It is Unlocking Lore. Yay, it's Maria. TGC, thank you so much for being here. We love this more than anything else. Thank you for the roses. Blessed Laetare Sunday. Woo! Good times. And let me know, I wasn't sure if Canada also uses Laetare Sunday to celebrate Mother's Day, like many other parts in the world. I don't remember. Yeah, I have a thing on my Catholic channel a little bit about Laetare Sunday. It's good fun. Good fun. And it's another reason why we need to keep the antiphons in part of the Mass. If I was ever in charge of the choir, I'd take care of that. But I would rather die than be in charge of a choir. Happy Laetare again. Yes. No, not Mother's Day. Okay. All right. Maybe it's just in Europe that they do that. I know they do it in Ireland and England. It's a thing. So, yes, we love Aragorn. Sorrow and pity have followed me ever since I left her desperate in Dunharrow and rode to the paths of the dead. And no fear upon that way was so present as the fear for what might befall her. And yet, Eomer, I say to you that she loves you more truly than me. Yeah, exactly. That's what Faramir knows. He knows that about her. Yeah, and Aragorn does too. She loves you more than she loves me. She doesn't really love me. Not Mother's Day, but I know that St. Joseph in Spain, I know that Spain celebrates Father's Day on St. Joseph's feast day. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. And while in our culture we celebrate St. Patrick's Day because it's more of because of the secular thing, unless you're Irish, which is the patron saint, it's a holy day of obligation. At least it used to be when I was a kid. St. Joseph's Day is the bigger one. Oh, I'm saying hi to everyone. Okay, here we go. Men, just bear with us. I love Aragorn, but Faramir steals hearts. Put it on a postcard. Put it on a postcard. Put it on a meme. Embroider that on my soul. But I mean, dude, speaking truth. Eomer, I say to you that she loves you more truly than me. For you, she loves and knows. Yeah, it's real love. Brother or sister, she loves and knows you. But in me, she loves only a shadow and a thought. Yeah, she loves what Aragorn represents, not what he is. She doesn't know him. For me, she loves only a shadow and a thought, a hope of glory and great deeds, and lands far from the fields of Rohan. Yeah. And that's why it's so pure, the love with Faramir and Eowyn, even though it's relatively fast. But hey, I've fallen after spending a lot of time with a dude for a week or two. It happens. It is real. It is truly real. And when you consider that it says they talked, they walked for days. They faced the threat together. They healed together. They knew each other. Let's see. What does it say? Yeah. This is parallel to what Aragorn is saying. This is from the Steward and the King. You desired to have the love of the Lord Aragorn because he was high and puissant, and you wished to have renown and glory to be lifted far above the mean things that crawl on the earth. And as a great captain may to a young soldier, he seemed to you admirable, for so he is, a lord among men, the greatest that now is. But when he gave you only understanding and pity, then you desired to have nothing, unless a brave death in battle. Look at me, and then there's other stuff there. Because at first she felt when he was declaring his love that she was giving him pity, but that's the key here. It's like you desired because he was like, oh, the king, oh, he was great, and he will bring me, and with him I can have renown and glory and not be in this trap, in this cage. A hope of glory and great deeds and lands far from the fields of Rowan. Okay, we have people here. It was a good time for this because the blizzard helped hide the tears from the neighbors while I was shoveling. Oh, good. Were you crying too? Oh, I was bawling earlier. I don't know what's wrong with me. I blame it on Tolkien for writing this stuff. Thank you. Actually, by the way, welcome. Yeah, it's great to see you. You're in a blizzard? Man, sorry. I hope you are warming up. Yeah, get yourself some hot toddy or something. And I love Eowyn, but Arwen, woof. Temporarily warming up, but regrouping before the final charge. Yeah. See, I outsourced that stuff. When I was living up in the north, there were some enterprising kids that came out just as I was about ready to get started. They were walking up and down the street, some kids, some neighbors with a shovel, and it's like, the cavalry has arrived. And they're like, wouldn't you like to shovel? And it's like, how much you charge? And they're like this. And I'm like, boom, do it, kids. So that was the end of my shoveling. Hard to tell because my eyes were frozen. Yeah. When you say voof, talk to me like I'm dumber than a rock. What do you mean by voof? I mean, Arwen is awesome because, you know, she's the queen of Gondor. She has some great moments with Frodo at the end of the book. She is the one that makes the banner. So you like Arwen better than Eowyn? Is that what you're saying? I don't know what voof means because I'm dumb. All right. Then Aragorn stooped and looked in her face. And it was indeed white as a lily, cold as frost, and hard as graven stone. But he bent and kissed her on the brow, and called her softly, saying, Eowyn, Aemon's daughter, awake, for your enemy has passed away. Again, that's where you just can't help but unsee it. I think there's almost an exact parallel of that. But was it Tabitha? And Jesus says, come awake. Just there. I mean, again, I think it's hilarious, though, that they were, you know, justice for Ewith. They were long-winded, too. It's like, heal her for crying out loud. Because Eowyn, awake. She did not stir, but now she began to breathe deeply, so that her breast rose and fell beneath the white linen of the sheet. Once more, Aragorn bruised 2 leaves of athelas and cast them into steaming water. And he laved her brow with it, and her right arm lying cold and nerveless on the coverlet. All right. Charpupa says, oh, well, I need to lower my sights, wander off to the wilderness, and find myself a nice female morning. Yes, please. Do so out on your iceberg. I always wonder, do you ever wander near the Titanic area? Oh, then whether Aragorn had indeed some forgotten power of Westerness. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's something magical in him. Or whether it was but his words of the Lady Eowyn that wrought on them. As the sweet influence of the herb stole about the chamber, it seemed to those who stood by that a keen wind blew through the window, and it bore no scent. but was an air wholly fresh and clean and young, as if it had not before been breathed by any living thing, and came new made from snowy mountains high beneath a dome of stars, or from shores of silver far away washed by seas of foam. Sort of Poop, it says, Arwen, especially in the book, always gets to me. Of course, Liv Tyler was dreamy. Yeah, I think that was great casting. It was silly that they gave her what they gave her, but oh well. Yeah, no, I get it, and I will accept what men want on this because I don't swing that way. Yeah, Liv Tyler, of course, was dreamy, and especially in the book, yeah, she was really cool, really cool. None of that stupid, I gotta go, I'm dying, or whatever that silly stuff was. Yeah, no, we like her. We like her here at Miss Martin Muses. And there was a brief moment where, what was it, where they showed in the Fellowship of the Ring when they were talking, like, hey, who's Aragorn talking to? And that's how we first see Arwen. More of her in the appendix. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to just start from the beginning. I'm gonna have to reread the whole books, and maybe I couldn't stop yesterday reading. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was supposed to just read a few chapters, and I read for 4 hours. How many times have I read this book and I still just can't get over them? Arwen Fiddle. I'm not sure I get the reference, but help me out. Don't get me started on the Titanic. My grandpapa was relaxing on his iceberg when that damn ship hit it. That is the comment of the day. That's a good one. That's a knee slapper. The best part they did with Arwen in the movie, my humble opinion, is when she and Aragorn are having their little talk on the bridge. And that makes sense. We know they were talking, and I thought that was really good and in character for her. Yeah, we're laughing. You got me. You got me there. Well, we will honor your grandpapa on Titanic Day. How's that? All right, where are we? And it's good that we do this. If anyone's listening and they're like, why doesn't she keep reading and stuff? Understand that I do need to comment now and then. Since this is a review stream, technically. Yeah, well, we get there. It's the reasons. But also, I like to talk to my chat. My chat is here, and I will be there with you. But yeah, looks like we have some magic. Awake, Eowyn, Lady of Rohan. Oh my gosh. My heart, said Aragorn again, and he took her right hand in his and felt it warm with life returning. Awake. The shadow is gone, and all darkness is washed clean. Then he laid her hand on Éomer's, and stepped away. Yeah, again, everything that he's saying is like, hey, this is, your sister. You're the one that needs to be here with her. Little we know that just a few things away, her man's going to be coming around. And remember, the shadow completely passed from her through Faramir. Can't I say these names? Faramir. Yeah, Faramir. Yeah, I think Faramir is a fan fiction ship. He laid her hand in Éomer's and stepped away. Call her, he said, and he passed silently from the chamber. I'll get to that comment in a second. Éowyn, Éowyn, cried Éomer amid his tears. He cried with joy. Yes, we all want to comfort Éomer. And everyone hates the chick he married. Loreleth or whatever. Lothoriel. I forget what her name is, but I hate her. That's all I know. But she opened her eyes and said, Aemir, what joy is this? For they said that you were slain. Nay, but that was only the dark voices in my dream. Yeah, that's crazy. So the despair, there was all sorts of dark visions that they were given the in this darkness, in this under this black breath. I mean, and can you imagine the crap that was going through Faramir? Probably he saw all the stuff, all the whisperings, and the truth and the not true about what happened with his father. Oh, stupid black breath, stupid enemy. We do not like you. Go away. Everyone saying hello to each other. Yeah, it was Lothiriel of Del Amroth. Yeah, I knew that. See, in the politics back then, I mean, maybe he had the hots for her, but people put things forward, and it's like, dude, I have a daughter. There's a king. I can see him pushing for his daughter, putting her in situations where Aemir would see him, because it's really good to have a daughter married to a king. And then she goes, how long have I been dreaming? Not long, my sister, said Aemir, but think no more on it. I am strangely weary, she said. I must rest a little. But tell me, what of the Lord of the Mark? Alas, do not tell me that was a dream, for I know that it was not. He is dead as he foresaw. He is dead, said Aemir. But he bade me say farewell to Eowyn, dearer than daughter. Oh. He lies now in great honor in the citadel of Gondor. That is grievous, she said, and yet it is good beyond all that I dared hope in the dark days, when it seemed that the house of Earl was sunk in honor less than any shepherd's cot. Ah, at least it wasn't Prince Valium. Oh, these comments are gold. Gold, I tell you. Oh, damn. Oh, good stuff right here. Y'all are great. 2 thumbs up. Yeah, we love Spaceballs here at Miss Martin Muses. That is grievous, she said, and yet it is good beyond all that I dared hope in the dark days. Mm-hmm. So am I in the right place? I am. It is beyond all that I dared hope in the dark days, when it seemed that the house of Errol was sunk in honor less than any shepherd's cot. And what of the king's esquire, the halfling, Aemir? Oh gosh, okay, my heart. Dang it. Aemir, you shall make him a knight of the Rittermark, for he is valiant. Yeah, because he's the king. You can make him a knight. She's like, you must make him a knight, so he's no longer a squire. You shall make him a knight of the Rittermark, for he is valiant. He lies nearby in this house, and I will go to him, says Gandalf. Aemir shall stay here for a while. But do not speak yet of war or woe until you are made whole again. Great gladness it is to see you wake again to health and hope, so valiant a lady. To health, said Eowyn. It may be so. At least while there is an empty saddle of some fallen rider that I can fill, and there are deeds to do. But to hope, I do not know. Oh, gosh, we know what's going to happen. I have a video on that. So then off they go, Pippin and Gandalf, to Merry's room where Aragorn is doing his thing. Poor old Merry, cried Pippin as he ran to the bedside, for it seemed to him that his friend looked worse, and a grayness was in his face, as if a weight of years of sorrow lay on him. And suddenly a fear seized Pippin that Merry would die. Do not be afraid, said Aragorn. I came in time, and I have called him back. He is weary now and grieved, and he has taken a hurt like the Lady Eowyn daring to smite that deadly thing. But these evils can be amended. So strong and gay spirit is in him. His grief he will not forget, but it will not darken his heart. It will teach him wisdom. Oh, damn! It will teach It will not darken his heart. It will teach him wisdom. And of course, Aragorn's pulling the do not be afraid. Yeah, we all know that line. Then Aragorn laid his hand on Merry's head, and passing his hand gently through the brown curls, he touched his eyelids and called him by name. And when the fragrance of Athelas stole through the room like the scent of orchards, I am going to the store and I'm going to get herbs and stuff. Gosh, I got to. And of heather. Oh, it smelled of orchards and heather in the sunshine full of bees. Suddenly, Merry awoke and he said, I am hungry. Gosh, darn it. That is awesome. I'm hungry. First thing he says. So, Hobbit. What is the time? Past supper time now, said Pippin, though I dare say I would bring you something if they will let me. They will indeed, said Gandalf. And anything else that this writer of Rohan may desire, it can be found in Minas Tirith, where his name is in honor. It is Jeff Smith 2283. Hello, all. Got here late. Well, what is it? A wizard is never late. He comes exactly when he's supposed to, or something to that effect. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, one and all. Yeah, and you can go back and listen from the beginning if you can stand a girl boo-hooing through it. Theoden just gets me. Past supper time now, said Pippin, though I dare say I could bring you something. Oh, wait, I already got that. His name is in honor. Good, said Merry. Then I would like supper first, and after that, a pipe. Everyone's saying hi to each other. You're killing me. And then Merry goes, his face clouded. No, not a pipe. I don't think I shall smoke again, which actually is a good idea, but we know. Why not, said Pippin. Well, said Merry slowly, he is dead. It has brought it all back to me. He said he was sorry he had never had a chance of talking herb lore with me. Almost the last thing he ever said. I shan't ever be able to smoke again without thinking of him. And that day, Pippin, when he rode up to Isengard and was so polite. Smoke then, and think of him, said Aragorn, for he was a gentle heart and a great king and kept his oaths, and he rose out of the shadows to a last fair morning. Though your service to him was brief, it should be a memory glad, an honorable end, honorable to the end of your days. So every time he smokes, he's going to think of the king. Merry smiled. Well then, if Strider will provide what is needed, I will smoke and think. I had some of Saruman's best in my pack, but what became of it in battle, I am sure I don't know. Master Meriadoc, said Aragorn, if you think that I have passed through the mountains and the realms of Gondor with fire and sword to bring herbs to a careless soldier who throws away his gear, you are mistaken. If your pack has not been found, then you must send for the herb master of this house, and he will tell you that he did not know that the herb you desire had any virtues, but that it is called Westman's weed by the vulgar, and Gale's nest by the noble, and other names and other tongues more learned, and after adding a few half-forgotten rhymes that he does not understand, he will regretfully inform you that there is none in the house, and he will leave you to reflect on the history of tongues. Dang. Aragorn it's being he's being a little bit bitchy here. I guess that dude, the herb master, really annoyed the crap out of him more than we know. Wow. I mean, quite a speech of an annoyance. And I'm thinking, Mary's thinking, what the hell? All right. And so now must I, for I have not slept in such a bed as this since I rode from Dunharrow, nor eaten since the dark before dawn. Mary seized his hand and kissed it. Go at once. Ever since that night at Bree, we have been a nuisance to you. But it is the way of my people to use light words at such times and say less than they mean. We fear to say too much. It robs us the right words when a jest is out of place. I know that well, or I would not deal with you in the same way, said Aragorn. May the Shire live forever unwithered. Ew! And he kissed Merry and went out, and Gandalf went with him. Oh. Okay, trivia. Mary's name is Genuine Hobbitish. Wait, in Genuine Hobbitish is Collie, Jolly Gay Mary, short for Collimac. Really? I did not know that. I think I've told you that is the weakest part of my knowledge in this world. I think I said that in an earlier stream. I say it a lot. Pippin remained behind. Was there ever one like him? Except Gandalf, of course. I think they must be related. Yeah, he's seeing something magical there. My dear ass, your pack is lying by your bed, and you had it on your back when I met you. I love it. I love it. Like, you dumbass. If it were written today, it would be dumbass or my dear ass, meaning donkey, obviously, not his butt. He saw it all the time, of course. Yeah, so Aragorn was messing with him. And anyway, I have some stuff of my own. Come now, long bottom leaf it is. Fill it while I run and see about some food. And then let's be easy for a bit. Dear me, we took some brandy bucks. We can't live long on the heights. No, said Mary, I can't. Not yet at any rate. Yeah, I mean, let the dude recover before you start making him smoke, dude. But at least, Pippin, we shall now see them and honor them. It is best to love first what you are fitted to love, I suppose. You must start somewhere and have some roots, and the soil of the Shire is deep. Still, there are things deeper and higher, and not a gaffer could tend his garden in what he calls peace but for them, whether he knows about them or not. I am glad that I know about them a little, but I don't know why I am talking like this. Where is that leaf? And get my pipe out of my pack if it isn't broken. Yeah. Like they all have like some sort of supernatural level up. Aragorn and Gandalf went now to the warden of the houses of healing, and they counseled him that Faramir and Arwen should remain there and be tended with care for many days. Well, double dumbass on you. Yeah. Yes, I mean, so much cool stuff here. Oh my gosh. The Lady Eowyn, said Aragorn, will wish soon to rise and depart. Yeah, because he knows her well. But she should not be permitted to do so, if you can in any way restrain her, until at least 10 days have passed. As for Faramir, said Gandalf, he must soon learn that his father is dead. But the full tale of the madness of Denethor should not be told to him until he is quite healed and has duties to do. Yeah, he knows that this is going to hurt. And if a guy's trying to recover, it's like, just keep it from him. Lay it on him when he's ready. See that Beregond and the Parian who were present do not speak to him of these things yet. And the other Parian, Meriadoc, who is under my care, what of him? Said the warden. It is likely that he will be fit to arise tomorrow for a short while, said Aragorn. Let him do so if he wishes. He may walk a little in the care of his friends, because the friends are all going to help each other. My heart. They are a remarkable race, said the warden. Very tough in the fiber, I deem. Yeah, so they're already getting to know how cool these hobbits are, that there are hobbits of great renown. There are heroes. Pippin, the role he plays in saving Faramir, and Merry doing the assist with Eowyn, and all of these things are going to be spreading. So it makes sense how things that happen. I mean, I just can't stand it. I can't stand this. All right, let's continue. At the doors of the houses, many were already gathered to see Aragorn, and they followed after him. Yeah, word gets around. And when at last he had supped, men came and prayed that he would heal their kinsmen or their friends whose lives were in peril through hurt or wound, or who lay under the black shadow. Again, can't unsee it. And Aragorn arose and went out, and he sent for the sons of Elrond, and together they labored far into the night. Yeah, because the elves, they also have great healing power. And word went through the city, the king is come again indeed. And they named him Elfstone because of the green stone that he wore. And so the name which it was foretold at his birth that he should bear was chosen for him by his own people. This is where that meme is, where people are just crying. And when he could labor no more, he cast his cloak about him and slipped out of the city and went to his tent just ere dawn and slept for a little. And in the morning, the banner of Dol Amroth, a white ship like a swan upon the blue water, floated from the tower, and men looked up and wondered if the coming of the king had been but a dream. Yeah, because he's the one that's in charge now. Even though Faramir is still alive, he is unable to do his duties. Oh, and that's it. We've got nearly 3 hours. Oh, and my microphone just took a dive like it was at the World Cup. Let me oh gosh. Flopped like Darren in Night of the Seven Kingdoms. But this is worth it. I don't know. Man, that's what day is March 25th? This is going to be crazy. And looking on my calendar, March 25th is a Wednesday. Okay, well, I will clear my schedule for that because, man, I've been talking long. And I was only able to do it at the time that I did and go as long as I did because we weren't able to have our D&D today. Oof. My goodness. As I said, I just can't. I just can't. You people, don't do this to me. I'm looking at you, Tolkien. Well, what do y'all think? Let me know what you think. Anything you want to say about the Battle of the Pelennor Fields? And if you want to throw in memories or things that were only in the movie, things in the movie, that's fine. That's understandable. It's okay. And Imrahil was left out of the movie. Boo. Hell yeah. Boo. Oh, wait. I've got something to say about that. Let me see if this will work. Yeah. They left out him. They left out Baragond, and they left out, of course, loads of stuff with my man. So for that, you have earned this. You have earned this, Peter Jackson. I've given you a boo. I don't know if y'all could hear that. I couldn't hear that. Maybe you can hear that. How do you? I love the books. Love. Yeah, let me know if you heard a boo. If you did not hear any sound, then screw you. Super sticker. Oh, wait. That came up on the thing. Okay. I'll work it out. Let me know. Let me know. But yay, we do have a super sticker. Simping for Farragut. Well, look what it is. It is a super sticker indeed from Salty Traveling Sea, $1.49. He is also a oh, you are not only a muser of House Rose, you are now a sworn sword of House Rose. So thank you for being here. Simping for Faragorn again. Well, I don't simp for that because that's a ship that you see in fan fiction, if you catch my meaning. But yes, definitely simping for Faramir and, of course, for Aragorn. And, well, we were simping for Aemir as well. I'm elite biatches elite. Yes, you see your rose. You've got a your sword. It's a cool sword. I tried to make them relatively masculine because, you know, roses can be very girly, but they definitely have a meaning here. Roses and thorns and all of that jazz. Yes. And I think Snortopupus is also a sworn sword. Yay, congratulations. Yes. You got to be with me a member a month to be a sworn sword. Right now you just get a cool sticker. Cheers. For real, were the sound effects working? 'Cause I, of course, can't hear what is going on, what you hear. And if not, well, then I'll work it out. But, of course, thank you for the sticker. And for that, you, sir, get the rose you designed. Thank you. And if that sound also isn't working, then perhaps the fault is of StreamYard. And you suck, StreamYard. All right. So I'm worn out. I'm worn out. I think I told you that I need a square of chocolate after this. I really do. I really do. Stieg is a swearing sword, very different from the singing sword. Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know where he is. He was awake, but I do not judge him. I'm only judging him. He's like, "Where are you?" It's like, "Where the hell do you think I am? I'm on a stream." But yeah, stay tuned for March 25th, kids. Stay tuned. It's going to be a big one. And I think I'm going to have to get some serious tea to get through it because I will not only be doing the Lord of the Rings one, but the meaning of everything. Because it goes along with the liturgical calendar. People that say, "Oh, it's not Catholic," even though he says it is, like, it is. Come on. But yes, the solemnity of the incarnation of the Lord, and we will be doing it. I will be doing a stream here, this one first, and then a companion one on the Catholic explaining using the liturgy of the 1862 missal is the one I have. But that is definitely the one that Tolkien used. Just a few things were changed. But I'm sure that just thrills your lives to hear about that. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a double whammy on March 25th. So I'm just clearing my calendar because, you can't do much else. So again, if you have any other thoughts besides, well, look at all that Peter Jackson left out. And I understand pacing time and all that. But as Snortopoopa said earlier, he added things he didn't need to add. Some silliness with Legolas, for example. And it was really a shame. Shame that what they did to Christopher Lee, and the shame that they left out the Aemir. I mean, he gave such a good performance when he's in grief seeing Eowyn. I mean, and I would have liked to have seen, like, more of the battle the way it unfurled. There weren't the scrubbing bubbles in the book. They could have left that out. They could have given us more of the houses of healing. I mean, even a montage. Well, they did do a montage a little bit of one, and that worked. That really, really worked. They could have just left that in. Left it in. A few seconds. Just a few. Salty Traveling Sea says Warner Brothers Paramount must cancel that idiotic made up slop Fellowship Girl Boss trash prequel. Seriously. Oh yeah. Well, they deserve what they get. If they continue with it, and they might have to, like I don't know what kind of money deals or whatever they have. Ah, man. They deserve what they get. Drain all that money. Still much better than his version of The Hobbit. Oh, easily, easily. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the movies, but those were it was very frustrating for me because as powerful as it all was, and when it's at its best, it's at its best. And I have to say, they at least didn't do Frodo and Sam dirty. Imagine if they had skipped Sam carrying Frodo. Oh, what up? Oh, there would have been a riot. There would have been a riot. No, they did mostly everything right, but things in this and in the Two Towers, yeah. No. And yeah, The Hobbit, you talk about slop. Well, how's this? Gold and diamonds in the midst of slop because they wanted to stretch it out to 3 movies. It could have been 2. I think it would have been fair to have made it 2 movies. But because man, but when you see like Riddles in the Dark and the singing of the Song of the Misty Mountains, and I didn't mind one little bit that they made Thorin Oakenshield a little bit younger. You talk about, oh, he was in North and South, the British North and South, not the American one, obviously, but oh, I mean, that was magic. And the silly parts when they're singing as they're doing the dishes. I mean, there was gold in The Hobbit until there wasn't. What they did to the brown was just, oh, yeah. All right. The Traveling Sea says that Hobbit movies make my skin crawl like 50% of the time. Someone needs to make a cut of the 3 that runs about 3 hours. Yeah, there have been fan cuts that only shows the stuff that's from the books, and it's pretty good. Oh gosh. Excuse me. I'm going to mute. The actor that they had playing Killy, or was it Feely? I always get those confused. What a hottie. And when he went on to be in what was it? The remake of, I don't know, that great British thing he was, a great romantic lead. So he's good. He got what he needed out of it. I love that. Yeah, they could have cut, for example, well, Toriel, I mean, and Legolas, they didn't need to be there. Now, what would have been cool if they'd have made the Legolas thing a cameo. Because it does make sense. He was there. I mean, that's where he lived. That was his dad. He could have just come out, and been like, "Hey, how you doing?" And we'd have all gone, Legolas. Wonder if the studios demanded that there be a female lead. Like in this new stupid Hunt for Gollum, they got Kate Winslet playing a role. It's like, really? I like Kate Winslet. I love her. Though I wonder, have they learned from the Rings of Power that they're going to try to do something different? Nah, they never learn. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, 3 hours is good. Yeah, 3 hours is good. Or, 2 2-hour movies would have been good. I wouldn't have mind them dividing it into 2. Because, we get to see more of the battle. And that was fine. It wasn't really described in the book. And it was genuinely shocking when the first dwarf died. I mean, that was well done. It got to me. And the music is amazing. So is the scenery. So is the cinematography. It just, shouldn't have been 3 movies. They got greedy. I need to rip the films and do my own edit. And I'm damn good at editing. Hey, dude, if you do it, I'm interested. If you do, let us know where we can view it. Yep. Everyone, they have learned nothing. Yeah. Likely. Well, definitely with that stupid Rohirrim, not Helms, whatever stupidness. Ugh. Chloe Chow was given the Buffy remake. The pilot was so bad that even Disney pulled the plug after the million spent. Oh, is that what happened? I didn't realize they had actually made a pilot. Wow. I'm not a Buffy person. I know I've been told I need to be. That's something. That's something bad. That I'm laughing. It's not rocket science, children. Just give us what is in front of us. And now Firefly is going to be written by the same idiots that did the Marvel slop on Disney+. Really? Shit. I'm fire. Well, the good news is I kinda don't pay attention to it anymore. I'm like, "Just go ahead, kids. Make what you want. Make your little quote, unquote, fan fiction," though we know they're not fans, and, lose all that money. Lose all that money. I still think that where they were going with The Lord of the Rings of Power, I mean, like, it's a franchise. I mean, like, The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, what's that even the title is ridiculous. They're heading to trying to remake they're gonna remake it, aren't they? The trilogy. The new casting of Aragorn, all that. Let's just wait and see. If Kate Winslet is Galadriel, I mean, she's got nothing against her, but ugh, what will they have whoever, whatever. I just can't. I just can't. All right, what is Saudi Traveling Sea is I refuse to cover this because it's truly become just propaganda meant to demoralize and divide us. That's why I stopped YouTube. We do not have pop culture. We have poison IPs. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. They want us to do it. It's a humiliation ritual. And yeah. So every time people complain, this is the thing I get frustrated with on X. Every time they complain or quote tweet or say, "Look at this idiot," or "How could they do this? Why are they doing this? This is upsetting," blah, blah, blah. They're laughing. They're laughing at you because you're giving them exactly what they want, whether it is engagement or whether it is you show that you're demoralized. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I don't cover it either. Like with House of the Dragon, well, we covered some of the House of the Dragon. I mean, that actually was kind of fun dunking on it. Um, I will probably be continuing just with my Fire and Blood things, where this is what happened in Fire and Blood. And then you can make your own conclusion. So I don't even know if I'm going to bother watching any of it this time around. Like when the last episode of House of the Dragon hit, I literally was not watching. I was like, what the hell? I just kinda looked at clips on X and things. So that's how I am about the Rings of Power. I don't wanna watch the Rings of Power properly. I've never watched it properly, let me put it to you that way. And I hope they lose money. I hope they do. When good things do happen, like the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I mean, wow, that was amazing. I noticed how people that never were into this or were saying things about George R. R. Martin and all that and his works and like it all sucks and it's all nihilism and blah, 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 and the whole ridiculous, Tolkien versus George R. R. Martin. Magically, wow, this is great. This is amazing. Blah blah blah. I'm like, I thought you said it was all nihilism and all that. They kind of outed themselves that they hadn't read the books, but still, suddenly everyone became a fan, didn't they? I mean, I think it's good, but I was a fan before I was a fan. I was a fan before all of that. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, A Dunk and Egg are the greatest characters that he wrote, and I mean, when you got Baylor and you got all of these things, you cannot say that. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily like George R. R. Martin, because he definitely is more of a leftist, and I don't like a lot of things he says on his blog, and I criticize him all day and all night. But it's just the fact that suddenly everyone became a fan. Everyone loved George R. R. Martin and his work and his genius. And I'm like, okay, fine, shut up. All right. All right, I'll quit ranting because I'm seeing that the wind is blowing open my gate and I need to go close it. And man, I've been talking for more than 3 hours. This is where it's a good thing I'm not properly singing. I cheat when I sing. I sing alto. I have noticed, though, I've lost 2 notes, and it worries me. Now, when I say I've lost 2 notes, I'm talking about the high B and the high C, which is like the top of my opera. Could be because I'm abusing it. Could be I'm getting older, but yeah, I'm rambling now. All right, let's see. The wind. The wind. Let's see. Several people who covered and talked about Wheel of Time never read the books or just parroted with those who said in videos. Yes. The wind cries, Miss Martin. Yes. The wind did it. Yeah. Steve pointed that out. I guess he was on not on a panel. He was in a chat and he was trying to kind of yap and make points. And then finally he said something like, have y'all read this book? Now, I won't lie and say I've read it. Like Wheel of Time, I didn't properly talk about the books until I was done. And I avoided channels like Prophet of the Dragon. I would always wave and mute because I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to be spoiled. But yeah, like why pretend? There's nothing. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to. Just be honest. And really, it's all about the algorithm. Because speaking of the algorithm, speaking of the algorithm, it was on my Catholic channel. I mean, this just kind of proves that yes, hard work is involved in YouTube, but I got 100 subs in 2 days over there for bare minimum effort. It's all about the algorithm. And yeah. What am I? I am currently at 9. I'm about to get 1,000 subs. Without trying. And maybe it's because I kept one theme, obviously. And I'm wanting to get the watch hours there. So if anyone ever wants to give me watch hours, I would see all the time. Now, are you joking or something gone on that I don't know about or should know about? I mean, I don't need to get involved with, or is it just silliness? Because we endorse that here at Miss Martin Muses. But in any case, good times as always. I'm gonna have to stop this because I'm tired. My voice is tired, and maybe it's because of doing stuff like this. It's probably not good. Who knows? But if there is any good news, my heart palpitations have all but disappeared. So we do know that it was stress, obviously. I mean, we have that confirmation now. So woo, and get rid of caffeine. Yay. And I think some of the painkillers I was on made an effect. Because they say that ibuprofen can do that. Either way, I mean, sucks now, I do have more pain, but yeah. I'm going to stay tuned for more musings. And thank you for being here and celebrating Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Good stream. Thank you, Salty Traveling Sea, and thank you for the super chat, and thank you, John Sue. Okay, we're about ready to get into our litany here. Our litany of thanks. Stress. I can't imagine why 2026 has been such a great year. Sarcastic. I've not been paying attention to politics because I mentioned it and I saw it before it came. I said this whole playing around with people on the internet and getting us all worried and upset and not knowing what's up and what's down. Confusion is not of good. It's not of the light. And so I just can't. It's like, fine, if something actually happens, I'll pay attention. But other than that, I completely relate to the Desert Fathers. Speaking of which, I will be going on a bit of a retreat, maybe a silent one. I don't know though if I may not be able to stand it because it's like 5 days. But either way, I will be going away. I won't tell you all where, to an undisclosed location. Teresa will be traveling and it's going to be epic. It's for my birthday. Fall was the worst for me because that was when my sister's cancer came back right in the midst of us suddenly losing a friend. And that will give you YOLO if it's not. I mean, 1 second there, 1 second she was gone. And that really changed me. And what else happened? Gosh, oh, and then I lost a friend to brain cancer, brain tumor, a long life friend of the family stuff, parents getting older. Though that's getting better, not to give any state secrets away, but my folks, we've been able to get some good helpers too. I go over and help, but there's only so much I can do. Also to help with my brother, so that helps a lot. So things are getting better. So I hope everyone is doing okay. There's a calendar, Salty Traveling Seed, that I got that I gave to my brother-in-law and sister for Christmas, and it's basically called like the no clucks given calendar. It made me feel better. But let's go through the litany. We have Charles Stevenson. Woo, thank you for being here. Snortapoopas Cooper, thank you. And thank you for the iceberg. And I'm sorry about your grandpapa and the Titanic. That's a very unfortunate incident. John Sue, the Devil's Raspberry. Thank you. Unlocking Lore. Maria, thank you for being here. Biggles Mets. Yay. Gorillas Random Thoughts. Kapla. Jeff Smith, thank you for being here. Salty Traveling Sea, as always, thank you for being here. And thank you for the super sticker. And thank you, for your support. Yeah, one of these days, we all just need to, let's go on one of those cruise to nowhere. Let's do that. Yeah. But you can be a hermit in your own way. Live your life. Live your best life. Don't let the bastards get you down. That's something that my dad's told me my whole life, but he never said bastard, but that's a whole thing from the Song of Ice and Fire and Sharp that Sean Bean is in. You yourself are in control of your destiny. Do not be manipulated by social media. I think social media has been exposed now that we know what it's all about. I mean, if there was a definition of a boomer, like where we really thought it was real, and it was not. It's just as bad, if not worse, than the way it was before we had social media. I'm going to go get a pedicure. Also, I joined a gym because I can't swim in the summer because this is such a first world problem because we don't have a heated pool in my neighborhood. So I joined a gym where I can swim during the winter, and that has also really affected me well. And it's also helped me with some of my knee pain. So let's see. I love animal calendars, said Salty Traveling Sea. I have a local hardware store that gives great ones out free every December. Yeah. Well, and I'm probably going to be reading A Song of Ice and Fire from the beginning. I mean, we've been nerding out on that. What is it? Stieg and I did the apocalyptic literature and A Song of Ice and Fire. If you're into that, it was fun. If you are into apocalyptic literature, it's fun as well. Also, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Men of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that was a ladies only panel, though, we did do some discussion besides the obvious with them. And I'm going to be doing some conventions, probably more camping or glamping. I don't camp. All right. Remember to enjoy the little things. Yeah, as Gustus McCrae says, and the key to happen, if you want only one thing in life, you're bound to be disappointed. You have to learn to enjoy the little things. Enjoy the little things. And that's kind of the whole thing behind the little flower. And, the roses, strew your roses where they may. And with all roses, there will be thorns. Accept it. Don't fight it. Accept it. What else do we have? Lonesome Dove. I need to review that. But it won't be part of the Cowboy Campfire, or it might, but it's not going to be part of our series, which, by the way, this week, Stieg and I will be doing the Magnificent Seven remake. though likely we will be talking about the original. I watched both because I'd never seen the original, so I decided to watch the original before the remake. Me and my sister did. And then we also have, what was it? Oh, yeah, Go Outside. Absolutely Go Outside. I have a daily calendar thing that says, what the fuck am I doing? And so I keep track of it, and included in that are the things that make me happy. Cook your own food. Don't eat slop. None of this slop that they make. I mean, if there's one thing that the weirdo lefties have right, that is right. Of course, I love meat. I'm gonna be making a stew tonight, a venison stew. Steak sent me um some mix for it, and I got some venison, so it's gonna be a carnivore evening for Miss Martin. Um, but the movie that I have chosen next after Magnificent Seven is The Searchers. I think it was mentioned in my live stream, and I decided, yeah, we're going for it. But I'm going to be continuing with as much daily stuff as I can. The Sword. I love it. I want to keep going with that. I will be continuing with Wuthering Heights. It's just right now this is kind of taking place, but maybe the beginning of Wuthering Heights will make you all want to read it. But be good, be excellent to each other, everyone. Life is too short. Oh, I had a great Comic Con at Seattle Emerald City Con last weekend. So many great conversations with DC and indie comic creatives. Oh, damn. I need to go onto your timeline and see some of that. Not to give away my location or anything, but there are a lot of cons in my area. I'm going to be traveling to one, and it's going to be epic. I'll tell you all afterwards. But it's going to be so cool. I want to get my ass to Europe. I was going to go to Ireland this summer. I want to go out to the Gaeltacht and rev up my Irish. It's still latent in my head. It's really weird. I don't understand how it works. But whenever I go and land in Ireland and I hear like announcements and stuff over the PA, it's like, I think I understand that, but I don't understand why. I could not tell you why. But it didn't work out for a lot of reasons. But I'm going to get over there. I might go to Glendalough. Check this out. You can stay there like as of old, because a monastery has been there at that site since like the time of St. Kevin in the 7th century. The only thing is it's not an active monastery, but they have hermitages there where you can have a retreat, and I think I'm going to do that. But I need to get back to Ireland before it burns all the way to the ground. Oh, the poor Irish. I pray for you. Pray for them on St. Patrick's Day. Look up what the wearing of the green is. There's a meaning behind it. Yeah, everything is made from scratch at Casa Salty. That's amazing. Planning to have a nice stew on Tuesday. Yeah, I'll be posting. Maybe I'll even make a video about this venison thing that Steve gave me. Oh, shit. I need to go get something from the store because I'm supposed to add cranberries to it. Go figure. I'll send you pics, Teresa. Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so now we're in the yapping session, man. We're nearly 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'm going to be getting over to the gym, maybe walking the dog. I don't have a dog, but my sisters, we have a neighborhood here. This is also the way it should be, make connections. That's how the whole reason I moved here was in this area, and make connections with people around you. I want to get to England. I have been told, I have relatives over there, that it's no different there necessarily than it is anywhere else. Like, yes, you'll have some crime and things, but if you stay away from London and certain places, and England is still England in some places. I want to go to Scotland. All right. That's enough rambling. Gotta go. Yeah, let me know when I'm going to do a test. If I have this here, can you hear it? It's applause. Let me know if you heard that, because I'm not sure if the sounds on this are working. And if it doesn't, I'll get my nephew to take care of it because he does that for me. Now I'm really rambling. I'm being Earith, the blabber. You heard it. Good. Thank goodness. It works. All right. Was it too loud? I turned up the volume a little bit. Yes. All right. Excellent, gentlemen. Thank you. Now, but why doesn't it work for when I do, or does it work? Does it work when I do this? Here, I'm going to do the thank you, the one that Salty gave me. That's supposed to have sound. Does that have sound? And then I'm going to end this test. Isn't it great though? Thank you, Salty, for doing that for me. Oh boy. Let's see if the relatives, they don't want to do anything. Oh wait, they do. I just got texts. Oh no, I got an update from my dad. All right, in case you care, Manchester United beat Aston Villa 3-1. Nottingham Forest 0-0 with Fulham. My gosh. Yes, did you hear that latest one? Was that the yes? Which yes was that? Yes with the roses? No sound there. Okay. That's the one my nephew's gonna fix. Silent rose. It's a silent rose. Well, that's a deep thought. We need to go into a silent thinking about ourselves and who we are. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to read The Lord of the Rings. I mean, after this, I might have to just start from the beginning. I told you all I started reading just these 3 chapters yesterday, and I ended up reading for 4 or 5 hours. I was like, I can't stop. These are unparalleled, unmatched. So be certain to read The Lord of the Rings.